Abusafoni asamu akwa babio critical issues and pay live ewo UTV so ye no mienu nyina na betina ko say no ndu ba ko bebo e be cheche mu budget on state of the nation on what to me e dey atoto one kasanso your own state of your nation you say the president kan no sa na won uhu na say uhu differently patcho eduru ha o me yento politics no entwene kakra and aye man mra form kakra and look be realistic say ye share your life mu a what is the real state of Ghana yenia o man no wa life no it is saying so that you be hu enye too much politics e bia we NDC and now you MPP this week ya Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission PURC for the statement about Bontia omo akra o my worried about dumso na sign eyiniti no PURC forecast say omo hwehwemu say de bombe hu no kwasempa ewom and no budget statement and minister wo hwe so Ira Chemesa Bonsu e de to dwa no chem say one of the reasons why omo de say levy 1% ba beto petrol bo no eso because ya signing independent power purchasing agreement bebra akofa eka e de abagana for o say NDC address president mama and no signing those agreements na ma eka menegana ama in order to pay sa eka no amene Ghana no o si nyina ye ka bom na ye de sa tax mba na ye to etetete so enu ti e free na watwe ebesimu no obekọ petrol no obehun se o petrol awoto no ya to ebo no so in fact to hwe na nsan nyina petrol bo no asesa kakra because of all these things I behun ye behwe eka no so kwan ye fa so a eka economy e grow at 0.9% instead of 6.8% omude ye calculation say economy no e be grow ne behwe ni nyina any other issues governance on mine kasa no president here 419 and I president of foresight vision odi no kra o hwe on mine not today o hwe on mine da achiana the verdict is up to you and I'll be here obotom na adini na ba betu edwame hu said am aka dada mpanifo beboa Yera Benjamin Boachi executive director Emma Africa Center for Energy Policy and Dr. Said Boachi so ba beken ho Afia IFS so na lawyer Amwakwa Bodu ye private legal practitioner so ekire ade ewo law faculty and omu nyina beboa me yetumi hu ye ne Yera Koku kwate be kasa wo ahoma no so no wache mu big agenda ni na what is the objective adwene wechi na sika na we is the biggest question. Sikana wahe for the roads, for the hospitals. Ni nyina ye ko bobi siam biom. Abra ye debt to GDP ratio akọ 74% ana. Let's just say hypocrite no. Ye twama and suggest that ye middle income country ti ye hwa enye mpanifo ano pe mama kwaba.
Yes sir. Yeah, I guess so.
Ye about ma me sha siam free ho no. Mo na free energy sector we expert ana obin for ewo ho no. Wo hwe de president kan about the state of Ghana energy sector. Any taxi or by what do you see as the state of Ghana energy sector to see dum ye kaniam kakra kre
yo em say me na wasena mecha omomo hwe nyina yaka I think say over a decade now so for a country to develop or to advance the critical input to production and the ma enyuma ekoso ema oman no efa ntuma efira no untimi yi enyama hodin emfrimu the power sector enti se wo pese utimi ema power sector ne gina ne naso a o se wo hunu se a system that has to work together enye yemfa generation meka ho enko a but we generate electricity ne wi a it has to be transmitted o se ye fa if you be generate electricity no at the core distribution end ECG ho se be almost betimi a che electricity no ama obia timenya bi so across the value chain and I say sa omo chefa electricity enyama hodin nyina no o say make sure so obia ye na dwuma ye and that is where it's become challenging for Ghana. We don't plan it as a system and yet wana efan baby etochiwa na ye press ye beso ano and that's what happened na madum so be to ekomu for so long and I think after say doing so no buy no we started planning to think about it as a system any who say the critical component having power the distribution end hona say your generate electricity you transmit it also mutimi eche ema manfo nya bi na omacha wie no so mutimi tuaka said the beya obetimi tua the value chain obetimi tua transmitters na tua generators no na enkofa eka emeda ho and for so long no ECG was deteriorating. Now, omuntimi embele for electricity. Almost systems collapse. Inefficiency was, degenerating over time. And you know, ya kase sana tede. I see ma private investment, it's me bum. Because I buying into me resistance cano. At the time, the estimation was that we need a minimum $500 million to be able to retool the distribution end of electricity. And the COFA private sector. And no be boa ma yetimi aton electricity na jisika no e de atua obiaka along the value chain. And that was critical because now you boka to hodada. And it was critical to stop the debt accumulation. So be ya won koso emboka engu ho. It wasn't just about debt na ya boagu ho no se betua. Because debt na ya boagu ho dia na ye de ato man anim a find a solution already. And that was the ESLA. Say ya boka but I was here tuan to boa from our petrol, from our electricity, to be able to pay for Saha Ekano. But what was very critical was to stop the debt from growing. And a major concern for the energy sector. But I think we have done so much politics with, Kaya Bwatoho and how to defray the debt, and not really about how you resolve the debt accumulation. Stop it, young Koswa Embo Ekanobi Engum. The conceptualization of ESLA was to get us to contribute. And I said, I'm on phone tour for about 5 years to be able to defray the existing debt. And then we retool the sector for the sector to pay for it. So, I'm on for electricity, I'm using no more tiaka. I'm buying new Jaffa. But I buy Juma. So, I say, share. Say electricity, you beton, you be Jessica, you and Gia, no, Kofa. Sika, I say, they could to school, they could hospital, no, they could tiaka. Near the politics, near Cambro, and that has been the major problem of Ghana. If you look at the energy sector today, among Fobeko school, because we are using the money to pay foreign contractors who have come to generate power, yentimenje electricity no, among Fobe Yuya, Omuntia, na Yakofasa Sikane, they are more no. Now we are still paying for it. And now, Abako Drum Pempenso say, yes, signed a tour. But it's not a sustainable approach. And we got into the point where two things. Either say, and I said deliberately they don't want to fix the problem. And we have to face that fact and push it to them. Because you now they be blaming the other side and not fix the problem. The problem has to be fixed and it can be fixed. 2017. But
are you saying, because NDC for signing independent power purchasing agreement, they were hurriedly signed. Proper due diligence. Now, he's doing politics with it.
There are facts around it. I mean, we can try right inside Bebrea. Time I know more sign. Our goal was to push government to be prudent. So, we sign contracts, and I say we need generation, but it has to be programmed. It has to be planned. So, generation into member. Now there is no demand for it. Until you try 2014, 2015. But we've gone past that. And almost signed. And I cannot ever. So 2017, when government changed hands, and you can say, I cannot ever no, as soon. Yes, we did. So what we said was that you signed contracts, and some of the contracts have been signed. But if you mobilize it to site, generate electricity in here. So you look at that contract and say, oh, we have not even mobilized to site. So if we have to terminate this contract now, how much would it cost Ghana? Okay. Maybe at $20 million, $15 million, you cancel it. It is better than waiting for that contract to mature and then you are paying $500 million or $200 million a year. All right. So that was the proposal we put forward to say that let's bite the bullet and say contract A, B, C, D has to be cancelled now and we pay the consequences so that it doesn't become a recurrent debt. Because when you generate here, the contracts, prescribe that you pay what we call capacity charge, and when you sue, because when you build a plant, you have to be paying for it. So there are banks in Spain or Musica. They didn't listen. I mean, and I negotiate. If you read budget after budget from 2017, we are always negotiating. What kind of negotiation? We've been negotiating for 5 years on whether to cancel or not to cancel. And that is where I have a problem. I said, how we fix the debt accumulation problem. And that is why we are now seeing judgment debts from the power sector. One judgment that came just this year, $134 million. Abraman generated 1 kilowatt for a Ghanaian na mo consuming na ka say ebia you consume and kwa yentimi and tuaka. All right, we are going to have to pay for that debt, and they are all part of the reasons as I see no omode to babeto yes or no. At one point, you know, we saw the problem, and Minister of Finance Kraka said, adio young fresh stakeholders na what situation what solution we can proffer and deal with the problem. And in the Ministry of Finance, and we agreed, sir, the stakeholders that were present, think tanks, the energy institutions, and ministries, set up a committee to advise government on how to address this problem. And for free. We will work to advise government on how to deal with some of those contracts and agreements that had been signed, so that they are resolving the debt accumulation issue. To today, we are waiting for the letter to appoint us to do that kind of work
for free.
But what we realized was that the same job had been given to a foreign contractor to come and advise government and charge money and go. And we have still not been able to renegotiate the agreements.
Even with paying some foreign contractor, no?
Yeah. They've paid. They've given it out.
For free,
yes. It's been paid. And we are still negotiating. So, we are still negotiating in 2021 in budget. So it's a big problem that we have to confront. And we have not even stopped making the mess. And that is my worry. All right? So, this power sector issues, debt accumulation, no? The major component of power system is fuel. And fuel, no?
Remember what Bahona ya tie no in with even the tax issue now. Whether or not that is a good strategy.
Yeah.
Say a bit me at a car, and why should we be the ones to pay for a car, bono? But a council member or when I share the governance issues and so we are a year about taking governance issues are buying any man for now, ye to me, I shall buying in some say, Boo minor here so because ye ain't to me here also. Into would you to me, no? Near my home conditions are very juicy for you. Said about be comfortable, we be drinking amaye na at least we boy home buy. You share from president 1D 1F. The last budget in State of the Nation, you to Obama president 1D 1F, one village, one dam near day more promises under this sooner the big 101 agenda. You know, be and say asante about 100 billion about the count. For us, we say na sika way president or account here na minority for say baby here bread and butter issues are na we say come company dey na adwene koso no waso every yen. Who ne sa?
Me da se me chia ahwefo nyina. Yem fa ne say the menu kan this particular sector, energy sector. Energy sector na koye sector bia. Asa technicalities na do so sama. Wo be say o study here. Wo fe na ko he so wo nye engineer na wo nye obi a wo ye good at figures ah. Na here be kan brofo na ayi woni so bebre no waja to wo. Nti no akoma ye nuanom isefo ne other energy inclined people na as petroleum inclined people no waja am no nko aye. Enu no emwa because we say nyina tie ase a ana eni betimi adi akire. Ni hu say na ekwa na enye ha na ekọ. Sir, that judgment debt here by ye tia and say judgment debt be aba. Judgment debt ne ba na fe ne ehwe ho na cause ye. Na yenya do who caused this judgment debt na fe aba politics. E go say ba na ba broker we ato. E na ya na etimi atua bi nti mo na mo ye na enya could what NDC did in their term, what MPP is doing na akasa na kwa mobile. Account, kilo account. That's the end of the matter. So I think the issue of this energy sector, we should depoliticize it totally. So na yehu e kasa kasa pa na wo. Steps ben you take you to pay off this economy. Yeah, let's forget about who created it. We still
and also they're very, very difficult to forget
because then about politics.
Over crack, you see president say, or starting is so na oh, Supreme Court my verdict, or my unanimous say ye not say MPP for on the majority side, the NDC for to at the presidency unanimous in TDA. This politics of energy nko be na me catch no 1D 1F government major government policies nya say 1D 1F even NDC for cry to say a good policy but politics inti now impress yenye say
exactly my point
politicization of all this
me fan say yeah ba na be kan say me hia eden American bibi in jest eden a also be kan obedi ye ba ko e ho na twa ba ye ka say see e solve problem no de ye afa ne ye kodwin say wo na create na me ba na ma say boa be na be boa me ne wa te ha Afia ne ye bi tua to na de akotutua no enti ye nyina ye hu say ti da wo ka say yes you are stakeholders na me de baby ana entasum kakra yes matwen ya we mama award letter and afi so ye ni free unless say bia consultant bia ko fa ne buy no na ye fi so no betimi aye better job than mu ana say then ya but there's no explanation to that hono kakra entasum but ye nyina yet na se ne ye ka say ye siesia e ka ne esen stars ben anamonto ben na ye nyina je atu ho say okay eto ne de ba kotua we ana say ye betimi aye saa project we need akutua say na de aka na de eden ya eto yentua within this year no and at this period no yetua wi otherwise obia ba obi review the previous government be ye no akase government contract we betwam na afia negotiate what happens at the negotiating table give and take benefits na hono so abi hu ana etwam na another 4 years aba na new government aba no no so I review na no so take time sa ya na emini ya na so ya na ebre so we should find a solution. I think the solution is let's so depoliticize this area. Okay. Nothing yenti ho ase because ebu ha figures per kilowatt per se na ebubruja na fi yenti hi ase na
and mpanye energy nko other sectors say economy ni ade nya GDP growth we ordinary me na ote kwabre ho ana ode wa amansi ana dance they can't relate.
Yes. And so can you say
economy ni jomu na okono so na
mbese can say governance no yeah the figures in kitikita yenti ase eno na ye dey solve problem no it said you be breaking it down am obi ati ase and so we be akofa dokuna ba say wa bre no na ye ton ni sei na ne kesi ni say once ni into to aba mame without looking at any other factor ema we no ebe ye say you say the economy was growing from 6.8 to 0.9 at saying. So how do we appreciate that? Abema yakoto aba and abe hu say aba okay yabo aba so why ye under the COVID experience. Abeye figures.
So are you saying say because of figures and bro for kesi anything no the real governance element here woman ke was say ordinary persons the opama dey the trade the yi baba the chese the all ye power pejuma the odina ka omo feel the governance
there Tobeka za aba bia ba sa bro for kesi and na figures ni we be say you about ma be gina ho na okasa we timi ka say na sa figures we any ebedi but the figures no dey solve a problem ya ka say you resist sika kesi ya kan ya enfa na ekunya fi ada say ba beto ya ba we betu ato ana say be go capital market ye go capital market no because say etifie na ka say ani ye mo ye belt na project bi e da ni so ye pese ye ebere no akire amanfo no say aje we e ka we say yifi ho nti ye ntuatua say kodu saa ye betime yi saa ka we afi ho na ye ho atoye that is the issue.
Okay, well, very interesting because that and also very very important because ordinary people no more fee ni say no mo junior omo figures brofo and am na make catch up so chemeta bo so ya den na no ne brofo ne ade obi say na brofo ne ebedi because said okay nipa no all ground no so isa but any boacho na wo energy sector later Dr. Sai boacho be boa me hu how all these things affect yesikasem because enye energy de enko na wo kan sa ye ka we nyina be feed into your 0.6 economy na e grow no a ye hu so no although mampania promise you said this year no never be better be grow at a faster rate we don't know there but 0.9 any about tampa ye any ya ka nyina ekoje bosion I don't even know how much means what my calculation now so 1% no how much can we get in a year because how much time mom dey a year first import levy bi buy 1% bi de to condom ne sekan ne ade so eche no mko yi sekan efiri mu but on condom and other commodities we were never told at the time how much accrued. It was supposed to be for a year but I travel for about 3 years ahe na na aban anya e was sekan but answer na no yi sa question ma me say is the tax the best way say e better sa aka na say Ghana for better tue aka de ate e Canada one no is that the best way to solve the problem?
I think the problem is not even the tax, and I must stress that. So, a problem with amamu no nyina no entobwa and a dibu, and he said yina ejitum say there's a problem that has to be fixed. That yebehwe kwan fa so obi a betimi atua etuo no bi said ebe betimi e dia so sao ha no no, but taxation has to be fair and has to be just. And ti baby a wo de etuo no kwa kwhye no say hu say omo create problem no mo tua more of that tax. And yes because it's easy to do no, now there are two obi akom na obi atua. And it comes back to your problem about accountability for some of these tax revenues eba no omo twa bon to o ye hia sika e da koye ekawe akoso kawe ase ubehu no masesa how they use that money and apply it to something else. Over here and saying maybe on pass here capping and realignment act, and that allows the finance minister to cap road fund, to cap get fund, to cut any fund that is aligned to that law, including MDF, community, assembly common fund. They are capping them. So now the finance minister can wake up one day and say the road fund I've capped it to 0 or 0.1. No, this cannot. Anywhere he can align the budget. So these are some of the problems. Credibility, policy credibility, is a major problem for us. They are imposing 20 pesos for us to be able to address energy sector issues. For how
20
long?
20 pesos per liter.
A liter, yes.
A liter. It's just a gallon, no? About times 7.
Times 4.
Times 4.
Yes.
Okay.
And yes, the cost of a problem. But what is the nature of the problem? How big is the problem? Those are the honest conversations you need to have with your people. Then you tell them that a car when I'm saying me for 3 years, me for 4 years, me for 5 years, and then people can hold you accountable for it.
Exactly.
And there are a lot of levies. See, 2019, which we have assessed and have data, we paid almost 5 billion on petroleum products in Kwan to government.
Cedis or dollars?
Cedis.
Cedis.
Yes, 5 billion was raised from us, from the petrol we buy and the diesel we buy.
For a year?
For a year.
For a year, no?
For a year.
5 billion?
Yes, close 5 billion. That's 4.8 something, so almost 5 billion.
For
2019. 2020 will be more when the reconciliation, because every year we consume more. All right. And and we are imposing another 1.2 billion for sanitation and for energy sector problems.
1.2 billion?
Yes.
Annually?
Annually.
For the sanitation, no more budget?
Any energy sector.
Any energy there, no?
Yes, okay. That's how much we want to impose on the people. But nobody is prepared to tell you how we are going to use the money, what is the nature of the problem, and how we intend to stop it at some point. And that is the major policy problem we have in our country. Over here, some of the levies here, the toll debt recovery levy, they've been there forever because nobody talks about it. The SLA I see the solve a problem. No, you see SLA and we want to deepen it. We want to add more, and consciously or unconsciously, we keep creating more problems, and then we expect the taxpayer to be burdened further.
For it.
And the energy sector now, it is the primary input to production. Power, juma. Fuel, juma. And this all started to tax those areas so much. American identity of because they can't tax. But they see amount for here the juma economy na grow, and then they can be able to pay better taxes. So
this will be argument. America normally Europe no. Build the fundamentals of the economy no, so that
who is stopping them from building the fundamentals?
See at the end I said that.
And fundamentals. Who is stopping GRA from being efficient? It's the tax politicians who are stopping them from being efficient. They should be able to tax the system
inefficiency, no,
because they will allow production to happen. Then you tax at the secondary level. But because we are not able to do that, we want the lazy approach. Petrol the heading Alberto, so. But you are also stifling production because more production and cost. And the major conversation we need to have really is what is the nature of the problem? How long are we going to tax our people for? As I mentioned, ESLA was supposed to be a 5-year horizon tax. 5 years, but we have not even paid the legacy debt as we are claiming we have. Because Okoji bond, now the energy sector institutions, you have only moved the debt from one area to the other. So that's what we have done. We have borrowed to attempt to address the problem. And we are creating more debt because we are not fixing the fundamentals. We are not fixing the core issues. And the INSA, we will still have to pay for the bond. And then the debt is also growing, is accumulating. This year, like I say, IPP4, they are owed over $1 billion. Right? And now see it here. And there is no end in sight. And a conversation and you're honest. You understand? We need to have honest conversation about why do you need this money? How are you going to use the money? And then people can appreciate what you are saying. This sanitation thing that they have, you won't be surprised. So how can you be judicious and efficient for the utilization of that levy that you are imposing on the people? And that is a major concern. And if you keep imposing, and for a social policy point of view, Okasa would 20-30 pesos to petroleum products as well. Within this even COVID context, and here for the because sorry, by all means also kwabuloshi. By all means also fat room. I can decide in this studio, but my friend Zoom, and I can the same thing actually. My saving on my fuel. The poor person doesn't have that luxury. Also pay, also trias tax. So the burden, the tax burden really is on those who don't have options. Sorry, also fat rotro. So if they increase the fare, on obit every single day. But the rich man who is sitting in his home abusing electricity and was for the condition in so and what tap it outside the meter or chill it and we are never two petrons so not here near to. That is lazy.
So churches have a very, very interesting point to find out who make very, and that appears to be the fundamental issue. Very, very.
And those are the basic policy issues. As an engineer policy, you have to think through it as a policy. The impact on the average and ordinary people of the country. And yes, sir, it is so easy because petrol in your top. Now they are got so. But people have options. So can you be me at me naming pie me yezum kwa me frefre nkofo and I say opinya me abra. But the Ohiani needs our option. Also pay. So you have imposed that tax on him. It's not time yeah free electricity near the caution say a buying catch us or more be free and free ni bottom and free individual be a bottom. A yeah sika any debate and you must free ne free. And you see I actually free America phone in Bino. They say one year betia. And you are not going to pay only for 20 kilowatt now consuming as a poor person. You are going to pay for any inefficiency that the rich benefited.
But that's very interesting. But council, who now when they school for crowd, what idea we invest in here? Say, yeah, say, Europe, for example, yeah, na Europe watching me. What's now on my beer? Munina Matana, one Matana, Mobagana. Conforce argument on me say, I buy here taxes. No, what they are maybe a it is a new energy, and your petrol cry. Or the onion, the Bokako baby. Okay, I said talk time tax buy. You say now for air casa. Banre do introduce you talk time tax. That was the first time I Banre do buy. Very clever policy to now idea and so come this sikano. Ebe to futu obi mo de be youth employment here ne. One of the major very clever ways I Banre do introduce you know. But because say baby am free am go school am better na Ghana. And your taxes the teacher on mine. But say do panic say benyan susu anso a nti enya den me enya taxes on. And I am fan to other areas and what should the governance policy direction be for buying beer or tea konyaso? What some more to production and maybe more factories. Name who got idea na. No what you are so then you targeted at a here for per se. But what about the chrono? Now what you are as against petrol day. And sorry.
You see, Assam say, this is my country. Assam say, see you boom mine dear. A yet then you beat your tour. A band said then you will be easy to order. And a baby or the back will be an who's so. Say a cassette primary invariably. And you have for the bit yes, to bicycle phones a bit tour.
Okay.
Because we will have unica over trotro. So, the trotro fair na cosocacra. We will so an VHB of them and the ACB was so. If you call if you no nipa for no be on the car or come be on the car. Honestly, to you to be.
Okay.
It's me and Cassie union every esca for I could hear for so. Now, baby, I do you see no. COVID are devastating your growth rate. Nipa omoka market you sote it's 770 and near conservative you at say na bi kwa na brosa and almost omu job you say 40,000 44,000 if you say bi kwa also say schools private schools be be work o man timi anchira de bebre wo ha me baby university baby am charge e bu okwa want to be am try no social because a private institution when to school visa won to no social no there's a lot of multiplier effect into e dan ya baby e do enie I will see theater now yes let's be innovative e ka se bia nyama bia ban redu de by any one no let's be innovative about that be dan ya baby a ye betimi anya sika and you acquire all this one you say to say there were two issues one you say you be galvanize the economic base I be do be so na before COVID no and two you say yeah all these very ambitious projects agenda 111 1D 1F and also yeah because we leader wa be share boss me ba me say unfortunately BBS we tia untimi but we so utimi he
ninya se discan e
ninya se discan e enti baby amene ne adwen say yet me create an avenue policy adije to no how na ye be he say ade e ka se ye de no ye de be ye that is where me my focus is ye GC ade koya ade we na ade no ye be gigi in 5 years yet 5 years no mechanisms and as a system be na we dey me check say ade na etimi akode e dey akoya ade GC ade ye ohoro na ye me focus but say age to dey
necessary see
I mean to vim no na ma fa ya akoya Afia vim eto no I will see it here I say ade na one other issue ni say ye tia to we have to increase the revenue through tax and maybe probably other issues other avenues na nipa na etua to no me say out of your population here juma wo hwe a say omo tia to
no eno na no raising say as a lazy man's approach because yenim say kakra nipa de do no abeto petrol ti no ye mfa nkwohye ye target petrol but other areas or no man ka ye opportunities are and ke betimi de age to no ba nde ye nya obia because of issue ye nya obia na e di ne ma befa port enye obia na e bi obetoto obedi di restaurant enye obia na say enti ye mfa nkwohye petrol mu de umpo oba obemmo akola openu obefa trotro enti e bechew. That is one of the issues is raising.
The whole issue they say to one there you betia. If say we can say other economies are or mono petrol crowd demand and supply and dictate petrol board. So unfortunately this is where we find ourselves. Yeah, still Gadgetsburg based economic system. Yeah, can see a best system. So best system no. It takes a while. We a lot of structures of you. Won't be for 4 years in it. So maybe I do know. Yeah, budget tour. Dear Nadi tour no koye is my issue. And then how are we going to sort the Uber? And yes, I would do tour no per se. Now Casa would you we are could we went to me and Tia and this master will be from which my bra. That is where we are now being we are making them accountable for the else of a bro for now but seeing children. I don't say as I'm about has over went to me here and I went to me. But say because a tour now nothing.
You are against a tour, no? You are not against a tour.
I am not against a tour. I am
accountability.
The same who accountability. Now, first, the same who say nipa 30 million send a year juma, right? Me fan say be half and less than half and a year juma. Omuna na ebe tia tour na sa nti e ka say be ye de tour fra ba na de agu omo so ana say ye nwa de na nipa omutu betimi aya omo fa ho omo ntia tour no, especially the professionals, especially the self-employed people no. Say ye be hwehwe omo nsam mu na ye de on obeka ho na nyina ya fa tour na sa omo mutu ato no mu ano mbe so asa because ye nya age atum say enyema bi e wo say ye na de to di scan no so either say ye de ekoko na ye petroleum revenue and na say ye de to no so e bi so
so I'm sure you say the mechanics be an antasiambum the mean ka say here for nkwa na betu ato no, but I'm talking about options. All right, here no new option, and that's what I was emphasizing on. Say ono no e bad de dim bia osore na otena fia onidi also opie no oko. Say me were option. Say instead of coming to this studio may Zuma, that is what I would do. I have an option. I have control over my movement. All right, and I will still be paid for what I do. Obi needs our option. No? So tax policy needs to consider all these things. Also say what is the incidence of the tax? Why no wabetua? Sa to na why na be ha no pa say see the auto way to her. Nimuze say didn't fan to electricity so. Because electricity can dey kwakotua. Make abotim the tax na kwato electricity so I say we sika na otua mo a who consume more you pay more of the tax. I didn't hear the to petroleum. It's easy and lazy to target that part of the market.
In another sense,
and that is why they're doing that. Because yeah, amount for
now. They tax omo create jobs no because adwuma for no omo ye adwuma no omo no ba betu tax no. And also the who's so
but at least they can afford.
Yeah, but then if I'm a private employer, I'm here into production. And me decide one ebe spread on supermarket and there's an element omu ni hu bibia no out from here for.
I see you only assuming in this particular case the only input is electricity. That's not the only input because on the petrol it affects everything because obia all ton asawa will have to increase to accommodate the cost. Obia all ton any input to the production will have to increase that input to account for petrol na watumu no. We work all by juma no. Ne transportation cost you have to account for that in the salaries. Yes, I want to mean by juma. So there are various input levels that you can analyze to have the same effect. So enti damika say the tax has to be just and fair. Enti no say oh the tax na to so na say some people will be burdened more. You have to be able to analyze that. And that's what we have failed to do with this kind of policy.
Okay. But my young man say I try to Benya Dr. Fair Center for Social Policy Studies, University of Ghana. And they go no or tired this research on the social policy impact on citizens. You are saying economy so or dog cannot pay more good money now about critical issues so. Yo, doc, you person odi economy, but before that, this tax issue, you person umaye entiase wom. Says I bind the 3 new taxes and also from President State of the Nation address or or say COVID yaba be say o man na ho kira ba but I was say picking up economy na mo a big major initiative be a obeye. One of them the big agenda here or can have some hospitals no biggest infrastructure development and Afia or Batampa fund so all can and one seven but taxes now here are supposed to caretaker minister or share of finance or be change himself or the taxes me one COVID tax baller tax and petrol dia no mo dia to so no na petrol dia no was because or say energy sector no yeah a car because of your friend say power purchasing agreement be am more time almost since I yakofa ka abeto o man so o say dey tax to that the argument is that a lazy man's approach because I say here for cry na why bebre more ye dey ato petrol so o sorry obekwa agbobroshi obekwa saf market obekwa kejetia adeso market kwase edwa so wotema want to mean na fie so ho enye den ya wo so okon so sika need your options just say here for no one yesan ha wo mo una wo social policy impact on the citizens pachochemu this tax issue ade e be boa ana say cheap avenue bi ne ye hwese ye dem be ma ehiafo ho asa kire wo mu
yo me ni aba mame na wasi na main chair or chief or panelist do studio. I don't
Aye.
Yo, Minia, you see, a Brenner, your dream, no. A bride, you know, the Yanni Case, so Kakana, wouldn't know what the tuna, among 4 tunas, a Kutima, and on the Argentine baby, in the South Democrat said, oh, you drive as well here, you lose control. Same thing is, Yana, normal circumstances, Kakana, the Yanke Bayano, Ecofati Chimanyas and Bay. In the mechanism, a car as Anna Koye, Ghana, as economy, as a car, could do at the gym, and 3 o'clock. Now 3 o'clock. And Yaman Koye, make a debt and one wasn't the okay. And I didn't know Mwakuya say, Sana Moye, and the tax now is a 4 crana, and San and the Bahono. Me Pesami, a chief 40 as a Dintinama, Yakudu Sabi. We are in the new series, 2013 constant prices, no. Debt to GDP ratio about with the 56.7, 2016 ending. But in few years, this now 2019, even including financial sector cleanup on and debt to GDP ratio, a bonus could do 62.something%. It will be a can say, oh my idea, because we're 3 years now, 56.7, copying 62, naturally say, and Canadian. Now, 62 no crown a case year now Yankwan could do 70 because as a developing country or a lower middle income country as we are now, and all the developing countries, no, Yana advice and say debt to GDP ratio near money 70%. Minium, and no, not 4 times from a bonnie a bull, Yashi Biba no. I'm a one coin said your debt to GDP ratio now, Nantia could do 76.1%, and that is very serious. Well, last year, you discovered over 100, a little over 100 million. And Ghana say Abano the Tuanum was 55. You discover 100-something billion Ghana cities. I know we now have 55-something billion. It's not just say about 50 billion there. Na a Bosnian Bossamonquana Abani. Now, Ubeka says at me, yes, then Kim to also the Bantino. A year say yes, and then Ghana, fortunately, over about 37 countries are economy year positive. No, in positive because as at the end of September, the economy grew at 0.2%. Yeah, and here from Ghana last quarter in positive growth. To move definitely we may get a growth. Now we cannot see in the zero. It would have been better because you have over 140-something countries. They are all in recession because of COVID. Let us hear the America say AR. But the year in Afia about the appearance will be 113 billion. Afia 2021. Now Obenya emu 72 billion. 72 year total revenue and grant. Revenue nkwano ebeye 70 billion. Let us say outstanding 41 billion ebeye ka. Now, outstanding 41 billion, and then a better deficit of 9.5% of the GDP anymore. Now, 72 no crown, and no sono, not Nina didn't say last year, when you're 55, then we visit a bit me and Boa Precope, would they call 72? You move your Casas and crown, you over ambitious, but so they will come what the taxes be about. What fuck will be so check on? The responsibility no what check but a financial sector clean up here oh my years abua because banking sector profitability ratio went up very high in 2019. Yeah, say banking sector near man no the confidence and near mapa eba into buying person obejai obeko so na waye atoaso ama sa other sectors now onya the banking the wire the other financial sector what you make cover in na no na or this Kanama banks it was if you bank bia profit before tax 5% tia farmer buy that's how levy what dia and directly what they cost survey financial sector and clean up and ya better ya wo mrebi wo ha ya friend Esla and Esla no and Magana back ko bi tumi kakra bi ma wotimi gigeto e wo ye petrol ya ye yeso and no what the 2 million na akoko ba kon sanitation and pollution levy and no was it wa beto 1 liter of petrol bia no yemfa 10 pesos ento so na abayenya says kan no mfa enye enkoso nye sanitation no ho adwuma se de nansen ma sha se a omo bua na mi fi se yeye pa ba bia mete me nua me kotena office na ma chiri say land ne down obi ansi dan si so na amanfo bo na kromofo dodo na ba toilet na adwi a wontimi ntani fie obi amabɔ modena brɛ asi fie kakara me kwa kɔtena ma fie de na de pa na nsema wo sanitation info no mo bɛ yi sa toilet ntia kakaka na ba ntua bi nso so ne adage no ene ni nyina bo ama sa de na no atwa sanitation ministry no first me kana mo problem sa ministry na hu nya na sen komo de hye local government ase but the chia me share nema na dia sanitation ministry na ene hu se omukọ animu a eye
yo but the issue is about say here for na ye ho kire ye mo
me me kwa na me nkana me nchetu mu enti what the 10% na asisu ide yes ade no eboa yare ho by pollution ni sanitation eboa yare ho by o si okoto fuel bi a to 10% ana wosa ese sa de na wo kan ye power badges bi a ye kofa ye nya adum so a ye kofa be gumpo ano say omumu a ye ne ebre bi achi omu be kono sankofo no ye no mu san ye a friend take or pay ya chese omu anya adwuma kwa ye ntu omu ka ne ye tu omu ka akatua so every year bi $500 million ne de ma wo mu wo de ba Ghana skema about 3 billion ye de ma wo mu every year so omu anya adwuma omu nya adwuma na no so no na abaise sa aka no ya me ne nso beti kwa bi omu antimi ntua ama ye nya judgment debt against Ghana enti no na on pese ye be kosa kwa ndo se 20 obi obetofu obi ya nsa fa 20 pesos ento so na enkoho. Now, the last one, and I'm the impact, and the last one, national insurance and levy, and so the 1% at Tosu. Yes, 1%, the final crop, I did be a Kakutubiano, on the VAT, the very replace the sales tax, and VAT, no, a VAT in Intino, or I did be able to be indirectly, also what you enti obi akotwa de ade no bo no be kosoro 1%. That's 1% in also dia and our friend COVID relief levy. Yeah, no, expenditures are related to COVID, and no, a cover. The meaning, we aba, why na ebe amani, was a total. The medical bank for the Omunkuma in January and Kaye. Mano kakebe kaye say, a kobasa na, why we are not lending rating, do baby, I say, policy rate come from Christ lending rating as well. Because of that, and the money na income for say directly, and kaya papa. They directly a bakaye a fool nedia and the obio or Ghana say it was a fool of course kakra. I'm driver for to market to him, obio free micromudema, back to Master Betom bag, or do a fool on the Cosra, also the Bibetosu. But the question is, fuel so be plan and say no and I'm say global market price no cost so it's in number $65 and cheap da then I'm 40 or below e cost ni nyina no almost every week bia say bera 30 pesos na ba da account no nan saying almost a week or 2 weeks it mean increases more than that the increases na nya more than that in the last 2 months almost every 2 weeks bia and it cost over 30 pesos na ye kan wasam no and share Danya Sama Kofa Asem Kesia Paba. This all decided to and persons ne Kamwa. The impact Namini no Korean and share Danya so much high. And Nuna said the Bay of Mobile Boise because his anchor the Katin said here for the money, Pastor and Anchor, not all can. But the attorney said, Bayana may sometimes you share the problem is your system is so perfect, your marketing is perfect. Nanka perfect. I buy say income tax and in the manema drivers or commercial drivers you can be a true bank piano or say what the South for na day at each one. And this was the South one at each one dear. And Kayasan cannot etimi enough say in say because of 30 pesos in Intino as well to Aketium. We share identity that is the measure the government took. And sana over feminine kakra na obi kase aden na yan fan to petrol so. When you are in the middle of crisis, when you are in the middle of pandemic, adie back one yes say unfe ni agro no productivity. Productivity dem fe ni agro kwa. Petrol no we can't say analysis pa clear say fuel anya campo na yadi yo manufacturing companies when they use fuel near baby it is a boy economy no productivity no but electricity di mo akotene pa ntina a to Milebino, in fact of all say energy sector, what problem no? We are about say 50% will be so 200 cities as will be 50 cities. So and then you know yesterday be ya production we keep say when you are in pandemic adia we are buyer so we say economic and productivity so ba ko kura say okay 100 na ya adwuma guess what bobo mu ba mu nya ya adwuma the combatant na nyame ya adwum ya firi mu a na chese ho an na economy no of recovery process na anche so one way now ko burden I mean productivity I mean the players in that sector by increasing I mean electricity I'm already know cost of and business is the main reason why Ghana the economy is not creating jobs and also expanding as we all want to see it. If you don't want to do anything that will do that, and so that is my answer to that particular question, my sister.
Doc, I mean, now I say no pay when Cheche my doc don't fair Center for Social Policy Studies, University of Ghana, Legon, and on here to common since it was on Shadanya de Hajim Bia era watch one and now also on any Yajim, who saw Casana was what is no. Dr. Saida Bobeche Mudi about we initial comment on and
yeah, not maybe a Yamina Kakra. I mean, the Casa international oil price air cost. And we have seen prices at the pump air cost because of international price, and that is because globally, BBI cost product no cost comparatively there will be a PIMSO, baby a tomb. But what changes the dynamic is your own taxation. Do the old tax but also and an adjustment beyond what the market is dictating. And who since I'm sure I want my own crop what's the same from what other countries are doing. And I also say within that global space, businesses near compete with international products. And say to product no high because of the tax account one. What mean I say in Yansu so be a so and I say the competitiveness of the country also. And na honor na me engine to move and the point I was making is I mean taxation has to be fair, all right. Not necessarily on even businesses. Ghana higher on electricity. So what if you now reach Chile and no will be less than business? All right. And these are some of the problems we have. Exactly. And there are ways you can impose tax to make sure say here electricity no more year maybe more. And you could calibrate your tax policy to address some of those things. But the fundamental truth is that it's easy to impose on petrol because let's not discount the fact that economic productivity is also influenced by the cost of fuel. And electricity the BIA movie car fuel no more electricity no more. And productivity of the economy is also influenced significantly by fuel. It's fuel that runs the economy.
For unfortunately, yes, again, you're a cocoa and Becca, so no, I did to Musso near Becca, but your friend now, Fantira cocoa and was over because we agree, say, an opponent Becca was says, I never we know to meet you, my. Now, more importantly, some near maybe all budget to my year questions because we are Mashabeduni, so also with you. A woman say Onyanya deputy minister designated, but we are Mashabeduni. Also, now our office, so I'll bet me a chim, also to meet him, because more so when minister Nankasakra. Any honum 100 billion or bat and pay or see whom baby is can free and at the tax and once my yakin Sicano I couldn't tell what you're saying. They are more genuine and on what they doing these things. I will say it Ghana for na any to a banner. I will see you near who said it. You're Dr. Said Boache, Ayo opening IFS or no about joining or no so your economists and continue no. Or your authority a woman doc more kwaba ne achimbium UTV so doc what is the state of economy asana about taxes so the state of Ghana economy it is sense you happy you ni happy you see kasem na e grow at 0.9% that is saying
me the enchiabe ma wotiefo
no more that so
yeah the dika no em say Ghana economy no ade bia esesa say improve ya enche ni ase no na ya na me ka see economy no say city no ya na me person me track history kakra bi in the 80s maybe in the 70s, you mismanage the economy, no? And I feel na heading. It's a drop. Say what happened is a woman is managing a pandemic. A disaster be hit here. Na critical confusion. You mismanage your 70s. Military leaders ni coup. And a drop to me by Nigeria for your palm moment. I feel the who be infa. President Rawlings was so on pace. Our West institution and he had to approach them. Na IMF for buy. The Peter pills be by. Then over time na boy. Emma economy jina na so. Growth rate on the average na negative in the 70s. E be positive. Emma from 1984 to 91 in about average of 5% growth rate. Tena say Emma
to 91.
To 91.
Okay.
Average of 5% growth rate. Let's say Emma aye kakra. Ye and Emma call Second Republic. And the politicians say, "Me also so bury and the men am wa bamu. Me chiro se me na wo se me rene, and the bosia. Ebo. Duma. And the bobusia no gumu a. Afa de not debt service in the money no. Afa ye revenue no. Ye na 2000 there was a crisis. In terms of trade shock. Ye cocoa ne man export no price no ba form. Some any oil no near that so important a cost terms of trade shock. Am I feed President Kofo by and man I had me. O try who be in chat and no call Hipic. Nagana font yes say Hipic and I didn't go say neighbor. Then so a ye. Hipic by I'm a funny well bank, what the conditions be break home. A boy so my yet the bush be chay. Ain't Hipic ni tremuno. Na man ho hin high no correct na man ho hin high. In fact our debt service expenditure okay interest na amortization na wo say about 72% 71.72% na taking about 72% of our revenue year 2000
insi ho aye ko tua obosia ya bo no ho
kwa no insi ho any amortization kaboma they take 72% of our revenue. Tonight, but here picking by the boost and be chair economy so to me grow, you know. A bedroom 2011, not about 29%.
That's our cost review.
Not a swati.
Okay.
This a man wanting high. Yen oil. Yes, so. Yen pick. Now oil saba bay abeka hu idie. And then a hot on not starting from 2013. Abana buy no so bosia bo osaso mu no bosia no
starting from 2013
in fact we share foreign a year 2007 and you call first eurobond you borrow only 750 million from 2007 now be 2012 a man and eurobond beam the 2013 now for the new fund law for eurobond. And he started bobo shine go. After the debt na air cost their service was going up. Asa a depressive economy. In 2017, aban we buy no. You feel so. Abi a hoto bi beba. It sounds like be change your course. Omokro more opposition campaign omo ye say, nya bosia de mind. It is the lazy man approach. Omo buy do mo say do twam. Do chum. Almost debt no borrowing ye a lazy man approach no. Omo dey do chum. Na dey no mo borrow sa. Asa ban we MPP aban we nti o ma se. Na nka MPP aban we call US a omo no conservatives no. Omo the businesses efficiency you have to earn before you enjoy. Na sa ban we dey different. No credit what's ye kan. Aban MPP aban conservatives are so populist no me who be that. Me do we be chow.
E ko mo ideology ni nye no no mo ye.
Anya no mo pesi you. Yan ka no kre because bebe man na dro no yan ka no kre enye yie. Free SHS. Obi a wo sika do betua ba school tena se metua ma wo. Na wo sika da ho. Na wo de betua ma me se me da ma se. Wo ko bo se tua ho si ho. Na de betua ma me a metimi de me sika atua. What is the meaning of this? and abosia bon asa bro the previous administration so I said bedu pempenso bi a 2020 and another offense shock about but don't share before the shock remember 2019 no na be a minor drone no na head ni
before COVID no
before COVID it's on said debt service interest na amortization no na drew offense 58%. So my cash said from 2011 now 29%. Debt service no drew 58%. What the a year offense compensation can one now do 99.7%. 99.7%. What the compensation?
Debt service near amortization plus compensation.
Interest and any compensation now do 99%. 99.7, which is virtually 100%.
100.
By the end of 2019. Now we do some level we now offense disaster stability hit can hold there. Not just say ça happen here. Disaster hit 1983, disaster hit 2000, and the disaster hit offense 2020, offense 2020. Ghana started 2020. Now threw the country off.
Without COVID, the crime by you know, Nanka, you were on the verge of crashing.
They were the
by
verge
2020,
of crashing.
no, by 2019.
The verge of crashing. To COVID don't buy, you have to solve the the health problems. Won't me and my mom for yare. Ain't it? Ban result to even increase borrowing. Borrowing on the I say I was done. I was for more to us. Ain't it? Their service expenditure now 58%. 2020, it grew 71%.
It is all the offense and compensation
also more than 30%.
It
grew 122% of your revenue. A borrow revenue no more than 22. Ain't no 2020. A man bebo busia 22% and send it immediately to workers as a busia debt.
2021, you say a kobo busia near
2020 no
workers.
Now where the 2021 so mrani here. The country is not consolidating. The country is not consolidating in any drastic fashion. The same debt service, I increased by even additional 0.6%. Now it's 122.6%. That is debt service and compensation. So you know, now you are buying the budget for Parliament, and no more precise budget. No correct. It hasn't started to solve Ghana's problem. It's say workers no bosia or border dano. Want me enko so 22% of your revenue. Enko tria and sana free SHS e kanu enya mai. I must say year of investment. E ho no nya mai. The area the whole crampo ni say. Sa statutory funds na ya na ma we ho kakra. It's a statutory funds and now EMR funds. You are linked to revenue. Say revenue unya siya be a 5% yen fa call FNS DACF Disassembly Common Fund. We yen fa call Get Fund. We yen fa call Row Fund. You are linked to the revenue. But compensation any with that service this about sense what me but what my transfer says way. So the country has to borrow before it can transfer revenues are linked to FNS expenditure are linked to the revenues. This is the state of the economy, the fiscal state. A woman, not just what's a ban, what me increase in revenue, no creating fiscal space. A ban a oba, I was so one day Bosiano tax no betisno. The reality is that you can't pursue that policy anymore. Also find other sources of revenue to increase the fiscal.
And yet, me per se establish way, and yet entirely because of COVID-19.
No.
Taxes way.
COVID, as I'm my mismanagement, I am mismanaging. I am so plain.
Officially, I am mismanagement.
We were mismanaging in the 70s. We were mismanaging in the 90s, and we were managing from 2013 to 2019.
So you know, when you guilty. 2013 to 2019. Okay. COVID no cry, macra, na
ya minor problem. Until now, the government is trying to find fiscal space. na fe die omo police omo so mo pesi ho afi die omo pesi ho
nti na just aban ne his hands are tied oya no ho hwenye ye eto na wo so oje ana is that the only way
that's another question a bit to me akko is there any other way you see oka taxes are home emre bia so oyentuan to boa you have 3 economic actors there were individuals omo consume and enter into FNC GDP your businesses omo invest and enter into GDP and a government consumption also enters into GDP enti wo just can free consumers wa now they are kwakoshe government sem we no me actors wo just can free business wa now they are kwakoshe government sem edu baby a some amount of taxation is important but the government begin to ban kakra for the purpose of public good is very important but overtaxing the people is not the solution
okay
because a buying sika social any businesses any consumers in society individuals and businesses are better spenders when it comes to efficiency now they come ban we are but baby am I no so dro no
but say abroche baby aya amuko school amuko sua de nyina ye jeje taxes panelists penifo amuti nyina before obeba mu nyina ka say to ne de ye po e wo se ye
na me ka say some amount of taxes here
okay
because when the back can sense can na boom a constructive road this are buying
okay
all them part but if you overtax you depress the economy in certain ways especially when the taxing agency is not spending the money efficiently
okay
and effectively
and era Benjamin Boache can say some inefficiencies say what tax collecting agencies
agency no more spending yeah she bibi and my as say ye nyi sika kra no ya mbobo se ntumi ntwa ye workers ka and ye debt service
Ghana say na aban say me better laptop 280,000 a chair what
I dey chair teacher for
okay COVID time
and state of the nation address
okay yes
the president announced it 280,000 laptops so you better teacher for ubeka say oh say yeah but is it the priority and my own yes can to workers just obobo siano o koto 280 teacher for nankasa no some of the do they need this o here is ka yetu ne ka o here laptop o no abeto na ade what you say
oh doc Sam teachers also cry almost soon for result are these things not necessary say better their mom
baby
okay
so wo sika da ho a it is a free SHS ya wo dey ko tua obi a wo sika ni eba school fees wo sika da ho na wo dey yesa but when is sika da na ko bobo sen na wo tua ho interest e dey ko tua obi a ono abetuma to obi abetuma tua na ba school fees a na hefa na wo ko it is the state of the country's finances it na mkasa expenditure and any priority ada na ko bobo sen auto laptop 280,000 ache ebra unya skantia workers omo deliver service na mkasa no unya skantia omo no obi there something extra Usi kaka krea bi a odi copper lunch bi ato edi e bi a 3 cedis obi an msen fanse bi ato fish ya nutrients wom ba 3 cedis no nya nto kenke na akoto fish awe come no na e bi ku ana me
no na Ghana go but enhwe me be so sure atani a company for na aka no so say this issue about say osi ye bobesia ye die chia workers but already government aka oba tampa President Emmanuel State of the Nation address or can about tampa the year or say 100 billion Ghana cedis or mudi betum or can first saying what the big agenda 111 facilities medical facilities are buying a be university no more de aye any other already or 1D1F for no more movie ni nyina one village one dam or movie ni nyina we are aware baby esika no be free and what will be in so e be nya e wo man esika sem so say they will paint picture say
baby esika be free there me aware if you bosia bomu if you said priority expenditures no you will be your service or you can contract obi en ho do bosia be chewo the second one no we workers bosia nsuma na one twa workers aka especially civil servants omuture aban no betuma breaking it down into workers these are the priority and it is we spend this animal we are ewia woni sika bia wo ho eno kra akọ bobusan be so into all these expenditures in additional ayi na mo yehwe we be ka say oh ye kọ bobusan tua workers ka ye kọ bobusan tua another bobusan what's the problem? It can grind the economy to a halt if care is not taken. If you are not numbers in 2018, now your interest payment, interest payment is 33% of our revenue. If you are numbers, no, interest payment in amortization, na 33% in 2018. What is to who? If you are 119 countries and data available. A World Bank database called World Development Indicators. Na Ghana toso tare the West.
The West country Ethiopia.
Uyi Lebanon. No yi Sri Lanka. Na de ndie high pa Ghana. She Lebanon. No mutu about 50%. Omu revenue nyina 50% no bitua. Interest nko a. Ba ho de ekoso Lebanon. The economy no is now no more moving. The people are on demonstration. Almost some properties ni bia. Omu ndim de omo hwehwe no. That's the economic crisis. Now, say about 33% here toso 3. 2021 budget here there interest payment in Kwano 49.5, which is virtually 50%, similar to the state of Lebanon.
Yeah, what crisis? Yeah, 2021 yeah hit a crisis. Lebanon.
You see, the entire crisis and say we are able to borrow more. So you are borrowing to cover our tracks, but that borrowing is going to compound and worsen your situation. The government has to sit down and messaging on the public, it should change. Yenka said there is a problem, and let all solve it together. It is a tax somebody abay. It is a way of solving sharing the problem, whereby maybe it may not be the best means, but to be day. But the area of who want to say, see, share problem. Let's say cannot be counsel. No one uses as cannot. Effectively, so then also there's a problem. Into opposition parties, the ruling parties, Omontanase, Tameka's a problem let's start from 2013. Omunina, Omokaho.
Tiansanko another saying call resolve problem.
Omontanase, no moon no say, a man of 7 year be no. The messaging now, man, Edeba, say Bibia, you have Shipia, Bibia to film, you are the best manager of economy, and you're not correct.
And nada.
And you're not correct. And then my bold.
Yeah, and it's coming to me, without question.
And you're not correct.
Make a Thomas.
The state here, Bruno, you can't say about borrow BM, Eddie, buy a tracker. So say 49.9%, which is virtually 50%, and it pay interest. It was very soon. If economic,
83
if economic growth does not come from somewhere. Now, I must say, if I say your box site, no, it be a minus or more solution. It be a bit more boy. In a monpie, it almost say people are resisting. Say at your forest, D&D. But state the woman was a drubia, one person over no crown, you know. Nemum, a bano, catanini, environmental issues, no. No more a pesica, a free honor. Maybe I'm a flasso, so can become one side. Or more shesu ye my Nemano, in your native.
A very bold Ipan we're making some buying that down for say.
Oh, Mincasa,
I no credit. I see I no credit. But what's the difference? Okay, get deliberate. You're more canon. And yet no credit. To mum painting better picture.
Better picture. You see, I make the two president for no, so I'm not about for. Was yes touching our belt. To say adding. Keep it in your pet. Then so what's your call? But no about for will be about for yana easy so we can say. No, why what was an idiot? Oh, cancer, because no one and I'll catch us be able to. But the reality on the ground is say the fiscal position is tough. Now, economy, no fiscal position, I say, won't know. I say, yeah, body it is the center. Well,
Council, my name is who will take on this issue.
Yeah, because on
Council messaging, I was say changing. I was say a buying no man for now. You did to me a man no. I was say or catch a gun for say baby a drone near man koye even before COVID. And Doc so are very bold. And then yes, what 20 years back for so. Also from 2013 and Yama say ABC there. The econo language now says say I want to ba. Ye nyina ye no musuo nhye entwen ope.
I made the say wa be some our kinds bibia okofa free in the 70s. See ya see boy ya mind cool. Sa be do bibia ya do ya fei President Kofo ba ya ohe na was a hepic nyeko. Onya guru ka say yenko hepic. Ni yembo me say me ba me ka say we betima ka say ani bibia ya project here na say a car be dey. Eduane na yedi no. Yenja restaurants no ko. Ni yenja you know na ya no ya duane kakra ne yen pesika. Sa na wo de be duane sa so na wo ba na una obu man ya. Sa so na wo so ye no. Na baby a also kai cry san ya me dan say dan ya we see you raise sika. There has to be revenue raise. Yeah, economics na. Yenti amortization ni ade no ni ahwan aka na yenti ase ya. Ni enim ni say.
Mo so na mbachi o.
Exactly. And the enim ni say akobo busia obetua. Ebi asika no kra wo bo ho busia no kra no so go sika wo so tia. There's a financing, there's a cost for raising the finance. Then the Sikano principal not your interest.
Now principal and amortization.
Very good, thank you. So, enti Edenya ubitia, Edenya Ghana, you need be yako. Either say you were a jume bia a discaba. You see, ubi be stage no kase, you will timber, you will good, you will add into the ebre. You will canitra. Without all these, and so be a say me car so tini fear. Odi doctor beche ebe kan say ma brand ne buy no na doctor ne kase ni e 1 cedi see doctor ne kase ni 1 cedi inti hwe na to aba so aye no oversimplified ba wo ba na chechi mu sa na fe yate ase he say ye car eda ya nim ne enie
ba me ya get language
who figures no wo say e bia 22% kra no Bobusia.
Oh, workers.
Exactly. Jeff said, I know your figures. Jeff said, what is the official figures? Are you realistic? Would be a yenina to any day enemy.
When abano figures.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. When they the accepted figures. Okay. Send a day enemy. You be see a 2 within 5 years, I will see you see. I say a true court may 10 or 50 be another 5 years no e can ba be do e kon do magenti bin so nti e fa call the next 10 years the next 15 years senior be ye
nti council no
na asem na wo kan no say ye can policy for raising say here say the year idikutua no na be relevant no ho na manage ho no because ye je say eto we idikutua we system be na be put in place den ya ha na wo say idikoshe Hona na governance because I can't hear them here edeka. I can't be cry before I say you be binum no. Omo of no 30 of omo.
Na Canada ho.
And so I bet na political platforms so omo ntia say kura because they have no relevance to the C70s.
But only the area news of say anyone manage because government account one of the things that dog who can want some is idea president can say is another year of the rose. But picture here dog a paint here and go you. And the year of the rose no. Yeah, question to you listen.
All right.
The only dog by agent say yeah changing someone yeah can't
and I make a you the idea and you I'm very ambitious a year there, so. I will see a fully be, but a Canadian or see a tissue and any say 120%. No. I will say a tissue. It's any amount for Cassa near you politics, ni free moi. And no near say betting ya can't say unim, Kuni ebe. We and a bebo, ama malaria say, Kudino. We ya also no. And so Catawani, now we didn't say 2 weeks, I must say we 10 years ago. Exactly. Devoid of politics. Now where's a Uba Cassa say?
And no near some
no be so na say una da near refer will say.
But you see again, baby, I dare not Cassa Shas here and Cassa politics and a dog Cassa MPP are buying catching confos. Oh, yam fa bosiambo and ye mine. Now, Odi and no shenko for 3 mashasia. Ubakra na picture na ubeto ye nenya. Afe na who said yes, they say, dog Cassa, bear Yansa Cassano. Yanko Ghana for Uncle Canchom say, I want you, oh, ye. sikasem no covid ba e kra de bobo nti we de sese yenyina sese Ghana for bebe kra nje o mampani ni se
anything me bo wo any sa program yo o mabaso because critical issues me boa asema da o pefe nie amanfo tie me sure say we ko ba bia ye sikasem say na tie so enti one media houses and CSOs na say CSOs no who show more they are lying to the political parties. Very, very uncomfortable for me. Very, very uncomfortable for me. Because I guess I can't say no normal tweeting to suit one agenda. Now we are tweeting to change one narrative. Yeah, can ye future no saying ye kono. No be antias here. Into obi ba no obi critique attacks or say ya. Ni any be actually say we na oje no. Aha no. And the core ya na asa we dey be people. So I am very realistic to yeah no yeah queer juma yeah ba yeah dey be to
obetua
yeah lawyer so kan be yeah so yeah prominent law firm obi hu ana na pa bi Tuesday bi ana no a Monday Tuesday na Thursday bi me say car bi abe park wo law firm na no
revenue for
no mbo roma where there guys you are the lawyer you are the one who's supposed to know this where they habitua
but the point you raise about CSOs now omo ya politics into ma omo kan asem no ko manfo no say they was I'll come back to that doc mesa ba hobby because and the doc one my major revelations powerful o my ni sikasem so say e kom kra
do baby na e to so kra for diplomacy baby do no was diplomacy na to for
okay yeah I'm going to news of saying former minister or our manager because of this year of the rose asemi okay ne bosia ye kobo ne ade sikana we him what to be the impact honorable news of saying good morning akwaba no pay
ya me so e ya kom de
nyakopon ado na walk mountains no so
wa wo de me hu na say me
dan say critical issues to me mba aka wo de o ye me jogging partner ti mesa by maybe Sundays but honorable okay as a president state of the nation address okay say this year we declare as a second year for year of the rose sikana yokofa wa he no de aye
and then chimagine because yeah we nam nyina ti aka dompe nti Ghanaians expect say you ba can and crash wrong that kitwa they are kind no they are investing in areas which are growth poles. They ever catalyze the development and progress of the country. They say agric, they say energy, they say health. You know, so Uba now can things as if nothing has happened there. Then you confuse everybody. And Dr. Kayano, then people tend to disbelieve politicians, not to invest or repose their trust in politicians any longer. Because of Bianim. Afia, last year, Omampenyin Nana Adodonko Akufo-Addo or declaring a year of roads. In the budget, no, the total number of roads which were to be constructed, now 800. How can 800 kilometers of roads? How can 800 kilometers of road, which was reconstruction, and construction of new roads, 800. How can that be a year of roads? Now, Sekadia, you had 2 budgets for that year. No, you could not, by any stretch of imagination, call it a year of roads. Who can new year interview? Let me see, and so because, of my opinion, Abanseka Yandinokwa, a war budget no more. The budget no Scadia a war budget no. It cannot support the declaration of 2020 as a year of roads. Ne infanayo. The Mampenya Ankasa ajiye to say 2020 year of roads declaration no affairly. Now declare 2021 another year of roads. Now 2021, 2020. Ye koji busia corona buy no ye koji busia first time $100 million. Ye stabilization fund next ka wom close to $600 million. Ya ko ye nyina. Ye ko IMF ekoji $1 billion. Ye ko Central Bank of Ghana ekoji $10 billion Ghana cedis. In there, your deficit, 11.4%. Young car, 291 point something billion, representing more than 74% of young GDP. Sikaben newo for the purposes of development. Sikaben newo.
And which means Honorable Fuseni, like I said, promises are president making here when the State of the Nation address. For instance, Obatampadi 111 project, big agenda projects. Second year of the rose in and just say, yes, budget. Did you talk about
there are high-sounding promises to bamboozle the electorate. Their health and mind you, Oman Penin, Nana Danko Akufado, who won the second term of office. Second term. At the end of 2024, accountability will be for the MPP and not Oman Penin and Akufado. So if he fails to meet those promises, no one will hold him accountable. They will hold the party accountable. So it is not like 2020. But when Penyankasa, even in the State of the Nation address, Amaya indicating said, oh, secondly, until you could $5 billion. Every secondly, you come over here. 5 billion euro bond. And so that means that we are between the devil and the deep blue sea, and now the rock and the hard place. You were deep hole, Eminem. This is the time that we must lower a rope to pull ourselves up. Yes, but the kind on another platform. So we must tighten our belts. But governments must give us an indication, say, it cannot be business as usual. But I don't see it in the budget. I don't see it in the State of the Nation address. And that is my worry.
I see.
That's my worry.
And the honorable again, me back to a point, no. Asemoya o kana Dr. Said Boache di Kakra Kadada say was say nkomo government narration no ne communication esesa say e was so gitum say enkoyie na o kana kreche Ghana for say yekobobusia. But again, me back to say sa na ma we a say president dey da Ghana for just to bamboozle the EFS electorate. Che say Yabekwa Kobo Busiana, definitely project when can only be possible, say Yabekwa Koje Busiana.
Dr. Said will tell you, say coronavirus, even Busia Bono is not as it was before. Because nations are looking internally before they can look external. We might go and get, or we might not get. If we even get no, coupon rate no, ever cost. In times of this, you have to think of a champion.
A champion?
Yes. Self-reliance. A dear Ben never year, which will reduce our dependence on foreign resources. This is how government must be thinking. We must think out local solutions to these national problems. Everything, because we already are used to freebies and entitlement. But sometimes you need those desperate measures to be able to turn the economy around.
Okay. So, which means the year of the rose on there, a very possible, but a Bosian, the Bosian budget cannot support a coin in any way.
Oh, your budget, the revenue projections, no. Dr. Said will tell you.
Yeah.
Realize it. Yeah.
Obo minini share do minini share face to face.
Oni ne mo nkomo. Dr. Sani Buachi say aye no wan say ono nkran bo nkomo but what can the same thing oka. Munchi an krada. Okay.
Yen share that Martin kasa on many platforms.
Say be me na fa adwene be ne
Yo no me nim no bo.
E na oka no so kasa onim wo kra o share opoda.
Enti ya ka
TV no.
You got the same thing, Anna.
Yeah, we got the same thing before I over bano. Now I Canada say, it can be any economy. Fiscal space be any. Yet to me supporting all these projects. Asan.
I mean, if you are going to be realistic, if you are not going to play critical issues, you are not going to play politics.
Okay.
And you would the minor interest at we need, and how we can ensure that. Yendachi be ye amayina.
Okay. Honorable, just before I be kono, and can NDC na more power? Do you have any alternative suggestion? Can we be here?
NDC has been confronted with this situation before. Okay, when oil prices plummeted.
Yeah.
Na yensika de yenya yentime nyabio. Ye call Senchi for a national dialogue. NDC, we have been confronted with that situation.
But some also criticize him, says our national dialogue now was say Jenny Adiano and solve a problem. In fact, Doc Bayen on what cases should be a pain say Ghana mismanagement of economy in started 2013 and diabetes. Is that Yansanko national dialogue beam? And some coaches go Senchi.
Oh, national dialogue there. What we born at any time, and I don't go for do. Or friend national dialogue on small scale mining, national discussion on small scale mining, illegal small scale mining. So, as a nation, when problems come and the problems are big and affect everybody, no, the way to, in answer there, any people could remove. And say when you call many people, you might get your way clear out of the problem.
But I now say on we news of saying you cheche mo ade ma na just say second year of the rose in the yamutu AC enya sade I just say san ko bo bosia
me na no bo ni kramadin ye nyina wo ha
yo me da say on we news of saying me da say baby so ni atwetwe nkomo former minister honorable minister news of saying no ni atwetwe nkomo say debt to GDP ratio no can say I'm 76%. Across a hip status. Enti Bosiana na yebesan abo aguma enema ebese cry. Here side watch but doc una o kan economic issue nti me answer na mako bemboache wono mpacho this issue does it also ne nkasa adade but o alternative solution sesi anka ye be den yetumi ye kase ye mmobesian no a what is the alternative we betimi afa so solve the problem no
to say the na lawyer kan so you are serious malaria obetiki edrobia no sa adnema de no entumi nya adwuma biem you have to take better pills now to solve the problem we have two angles of course to expand the fiscal space from the revenue side and from the expenditure side men come for expenditure side no first expenditure a press conference attempt populist fiscal policies or August 2020 friends say populist fiscal policy
chasing
policy who pays you one month for why are there will be a count for nanso say because can now do show no then you there akobubusia na this can do show
in the policies such as the and a populist.
Oh, me buy my car. You need to say the announcement 280,000. Who Bob Sanda would be a workers' car. That's what we are settled there. Okay, almost on the Eurobond. Akobobusia 5 billion. The Minister for Parliamentary Affairs also 1.5 billion in the eco budget. 3.45 billion. I kind of the revenue management.
Revenue management.
Let's just say Bosiana or Hodano. Iniska. Edukusia Bosian Hodadan, and to say Yakoboni, the Tia, I have more. Into expenditure management. Adibo ha ede. Oh yeah, na nso ni bi. Me na no me drive Toyota. Uma me S-class Benz a. Ka be me de. Nso kofa brema me pa wacho se me so fa ko. Me no muska. Wo muska dia, enka meje ana me boa. Me ni muska. Ah me ko drive S-class Benz. Me sim fa ko. Wo park me sim fie kura de che me sa de abro. Me no muska. Free SHS na aye no ye kan fu yo ho. President aye de obi antimi nye. President aye. Ana me kan. Yeah. Me ba firstborn. And then they make be a woman.
Na o de ka.
No, or can first by free SHS. For some reasons, me you know I'm going to call private school. In this case, I was able to pay for the tuition. You want to pay almost me. They can pay for their children's school fees from their own incomes, their own earned incomes. Now, what about the could assign the say school fees? Is it the right way to spend?
The free SHS was a bad policy.
Not as a whole. Say be our villages be a so it is a very good policy. If in Canadian government come and say mobile, free SHS, no, say fiscal space in the hall. You have 2 years, you create fiscal space. Let my generating income be at the starting. Now they will buy into Mrs. Amman way or more could do. A Prime Minister in Mr. Okasano was so moon to me yet. You don't underrate this government. Or more could do. Make my boss, Bobusian, I don't pay me. Now, a Bussian who soon so no, as well better than. You see, the free SH has been implemented with boldness. It's a very bold initiative. In the long run, you have assessment the Yanye. But short, the impact on the fiscal position is enormous. Free SHS now, expenditure company goods and services. Before Saban Webana, it was in the millions. 500 million, 800 million, and then 9 billion, 8 billion, 7 billion. Goods and services, a hundred free SHS. What me say? I ran it from the millions and the one, hundreds of millions into 9 billions.
But economy need to be supported.
Because of the free SHS.
But I don't know how about here I've been watching before I no can about Esla, energies, debt in the idea to say I bind the tax number 2 petrol. No, so say.
Oh, sir, I know the revenue component.
Okay.
Say expenditure component.
Okay.
Into expenditure beer. Who to say I dear way. I will crown also support to people. All them part. Sorry, all the tax people. To say energy sector near the idea. If you say person boy, now obi how bet my school fees no. Oh, Triamano. To say the former minister, the minister of finance, I can still call the former minister of finance. Say me make you nipa 5 school fees. One nipa all share every man on. Now we train school fees. It is populist. Despite the praises, it is populist. 280,000 populist. And many other things. And of course,
hospitals no way. Hospitals no so be populist.
Hospitals not there. Ubenya ska funded there.
Okay.
But so when this kind of bed funds now force on some and because we bold. If that is where the electorate are looking at, they are so bold to be able to raise that money.
Now Obatampa there no so way. Obatampa big agenda populist. 100
billion Ghana cedis. Revenue for the whole year of last year of 55 billion. Over 100 billion no. Oko pa 100 billion kra 100 bema. Why do you have to mention such an amount? Sa sika kakarakaw, I didn't know so boni di. Oko pa 100 billion kra 100 bema. Enyan to boase the message no enye. That's the expenditure. And it may be a M1 a year. Na so sika ni hono yen kate kakra. Traveling ni money man yen kate kakra. Answer na revenue side to close the fiscal space. You can't taxes once to say Esla near the idea, okay. OGs cannot consumers any business, no, their governments. You do baby critical, I have no problem with it. But there's one area that this country has long joked with. The extractive sector, the mining sector, the oil sector. About we country we at the stage we will not continue this stage. Yeah.
It's saying.
What mining sector of all the value of commodities produced there, the country gets less than 10% out of it.
Less than 10% from oil.
No, for the mining sector.
Mining sector, okay. From your gold,
no.
Ghana, you get 10%.
Ghana less than 10%. My oil, 100, Ghana less than 20%. That is how contract any abrofona sign.
But what?
And if starting from a year reforms in the 1980s, in a situation, so you change we are. Other African countries, other middle income countries are getting far more than we get. Go to Nigeria. Their oil, no, more than 50%, around more than 51% of the oil produced. So the value of oil produced there.
More than 51%.
More than 51%. Yes, around 17%.
But what are why is this so?
Oko Botswana, go, diamond produce no. More than 51%. Ghana less than 10%. If you don't change the nature of the agreements over there, you lose. What they better say tax poor people. And I've made this statement. How do you tax poor people in North revenue for your development? While others are depending upon their resource endowment.
Okay. Don't come make a point. Earlier, when you have kuma make his point because I know about say petrol dey aye taxi no. Ye here for ne bebre. Because some no be fat trot sika ni betimi atena ni fie. Aka say me Zoom meeting. UN meeting kra be ni Zoom. Me ka kra me ntu ene meda. Na so the air conditions so ontua as much tax to say the okofa trotro ni ade and the point doc
before so be come anka there amfa somewhere a statement my emphasize here for last year in the government budget to the be shame extractive sector.
Okay,
but the approach no more than say Ghana Revenue Authority more dia so sikana e due to the government on bejeje.
It still doesn't solve the problem. So we are getting less than the
usually they don't talk about it. This year budget they have begun to talk about it because I've been campaigning about this. But that's not the approach. The approach, you have to take a fundamental look at the various contracts and agreements and change them. As others are using to generate money, yes, Ghana have to be able to use to generate money.
Yeah, but okay, say I shall say okay. Point to be about this, but my personal addressing question now, which ties into as I initially raised about here for CC woman, yes, I overbedding woman, or nibi, yes, I do musica as I compared to Omunianum Escafono. Because dog raising this point about say free a double standard now buying a would the free SHS Chessica, new crowd bet me about school fees, a school, SOS near the Escafor man, called those a GIS near the Omunia say SHS. Why free SHS blanket, but petrol dear, kwaje, obia honum. And I don't say double standards ties into a seminal reason.
Yo, a lot has happened since I me buy Muno, and I think the conversation is coming around to policy credibility. And I'm saying, Doc, I teach them we more than they not make because and yet, sir, obi mpese ebe to atwo, and I say ebe contribute to development. But the one year tuya over the period, over the years, at the end of the year. And policy credibility goes beyond the letter of the budget, what you state in the budget. But the specific actions would take it after those policies were initiated. And that is the major difficulty we've had over the period. So the BI ba yemfa to so ne age and the age yen sheda hu the day sika no aye na ya san de foforo aba enti na hwe petroleum product America say 2019 kwan age almost 5 billion from petroleum, and that is some of these levies are na to so to nkwan to levy ye tuasa almost 2 decades yentimi so e kana no bust margin. I mean, Nina antis a cabia ba near the cotoso. Now you don't know, you don't have an end in sight. Say, ye tuya for 5 years near Jetuya, you tuya for 10 years near Jetuya. And once ye 20, they see another 20 pesos, now bet to so. nobody want to have the conversation about how you're going to use that money. And when would you finish paying that debt? And then na ye say so be na de beba and na hwan and na obebre pass all this policy no beba no. We need to have that conversation. It's really critical for us to answer the questions that are relevant for the conversation I'm about to pronounce. We say the SS capacity abantino who resist cardiac utia 500 million a year. What is the data? The NHS what you have 500 million on SS capacity. As city, I don't know.
Na mo CSO energy sector mo dey say nka mo na more capacity nka betimi attrack say sika sempo akoha teku kosi ampa aban tuaban apa ontua ye ne ade even levy ya oba beji ne petrol. So this is how much you accrue ebe kosi ebe say muntumi nye and muni access to that information.
We don't have access to that data. Say o see otua SS
na mo anya na say because there's right to information law.
And no another step, but you have to publish the data. So what the budget between us what you have 500 million no. Send out to no. And then say this what you am say this is excess capacity. But what we are seeing and it said they make us inefficiencies in the sector. They said South free electricity are buying chicha around March, April no to June. What's the fa eka 1 billion? Who che electricity no na what you 1 billion. Who consume electricity we na kacha ECG say mokora mo de yeka aya yetutua mo kama mo enti no yentena se na ye reconcile and then you move the debt on their books
after omoji debt if ECG books so no some can say sad deal no
friend say excess capacity ne inefficiencies because ECG can be want to mean to ya because almost systems no kwa nya adwuma ye no motumi generate revenue to go and pay enti ana aban abeso masen enti waso ECG asen afio so yentena sen yensese mo amede bua wo in the past no me tier free electricity na mache free no so you have only pushed the debt on the books of ECG now what actually nyina what you so
enti so abai
enti so that's the credibility of policy issues that make enti no also ye hu say ahia nkasa na ekwa kotua excess capacity first of all and now I have this conversation because you bet me at na say oh you were 200 megawatt plant is here, you were 300 megawatt plant is here. The excess over demand no 200 megawatt. But that's not what happens. Excess capacity is calculated on the invoice. It's a companies in the amount on every month. The company no enya available, plant enya available for a problem you don't pay excess capacity for it. And you know it's not enough to tell me say plant needs to do to excess capacity. But how much were you billed? How much were you given in the month said to ya? For excess capacity, that data nobody wants to give you. And you know, deeper than putting in the budget, sir, your excess capacity in your quota. And you know, how much exactly the excess capacity is on a daily basis, on a monthly basis. You say, I'm part, I will see you 20 pesos, which is about 800 million Ghana cedis a year. To be able to defray the excess capacity. And even the next conversation about for how long and that excess capacity. That credibility has to come with the statement.
Say information money available to you and even ECG okay minimda. I'm learning this for the first time.
Yeah, so that's
pushy a cano which is one of the things that not do
because ECG na abaya and this oboka na waso betua ka no na wotena ho watua afi wosan ba se wo che electricity free na wie ya say kana metua ma oda emre bi atwam no yemfa enti sa can new ana me amakasa mabon ama wono enti these are some of the problems that I was saying and beyond that also make debt accumulation e ka no ogusu bo ugusu a wo bo na wo de levies e ba no are we going to get to another level because say 20 new come me buy and so and another 20 account and that's what is happening because Esla no was supposed to take care of legacy debt no you push it from the sector to the bond market and you kwaji bond in between the Canada ho yetua kra
and no na doc
and as a cia no was impose new levy and say we want me am fix and na doc say yare no ekuro ne bo nan a obetimi decide wo nsuo nko na be mia wo be so ade asawa beka ho ana wo de duro eso beka ho but we have to be able to know say nsuo nko abetimi atreat ana say wo se ye de aduro eka ho and that is what we are not doing at this point and we need to go back to basics and see the energy sector as a system nan saying if grid ko for trips here by omo report on matro almost say there was a trip. What is a trip? Aponchi ne ko ball a ponum and a trip ne buy. Say earthquake bi na see ho and a trip ne buy and the omo nkan. And one said there's a trip. But we know that the infrastructure is deteriorating. Say ya anso anu a yehia sika na de aso anu. Ya anso anu a this trip will not be the first or the last. Ebe koso aba. In fact you about after sa a Jordan day no holiday ni day no. There's been subsequent dooms or and PRC cross or me concerned. A PRC letter no cry my basso no. PRC is saying say or me concern say a year first say the public my jamming glasses or card no say or PRC has noted with a lot of concern. Your concern book concern or can know a lot of concern the increase in power outages to consumers in recent times. This poor and they even describe it. This poor service was compounded by a total system collapse that occurred in the transmission network, resulting in a nationwide blackout on Sunday, March 7, 2021. Whilst acknowledging the press releases from Gridco, ECG, and Netco on these incidents, the PRC wishes to assure consumers that it is investigating the issue and will take appropriate regulatory action against any utility in the power value chain found non-compliant with the regulatory standard. And I say the commission wishes to tell consumers some of my numbers because and for emphasis. So I'm very concerned about the okay. We don't say this is the last statement you will see on this another one, Beba. And that's how we react. Yeah, church roba na ubia koda on to say the next problem emerges, and that is even the major problem. And what is even critical for us to understand is that sa dum sona eba with distribution and transmission no and no cry who say you need generation because you need generation you are not liable, you don't pay for generation but because we are signing take or pay agreements say company will generate one generate with you and one there's power in the system won't mean you so mean to mean to but somebody has to pay for it and the one a bit here. And we need to fix the generation, the distribution side, and we fix the transmission side. Yes, our transmission is cut off. Now say yentimi use electricity and triaka. I was Council, do you see as someone I was as about politics? So kind about policy credibility. Doctor so can say yeah the BBI politics the ones who can is that one of the reasons why we are here? Will we ever get to a point I see where there? Yeah, real state of the nation na ya kan no crepa because there mun nyina mo kan there say enye real state of the nation address na e wo so na animu no na say aka kakra kam ayehu sa problems we nyina e kam politics and I say the tia na wo say ba no
enye politics per se yes say yenye realistic okay well see here realistic with ourselves so say e ka we da ho ebere na etua say na ebe ka che nkrofo no say e ka na nie die po yempo from 70s I'm say me Leonard Senior ka say from a champion breso definitely that was in the 70s yeah policies be yes yentua and I say okay na ye be ma conditions aba and afi de ono so ba case operation feed yourself na afi ni nyina na e kwa kopem say edu ba bi na edin Ira Rollins by on a call friends IMF and also conditionalities when see you say minia penny situation mean ya bedu baby away e better than yetua minia penny so ka say bi kra na me the more because you have petroleum for instance is a executive director wa petroleum for instance say what you have downstream no me have upstream send in your film use kind. And none dog can say less than 50%. Exactly. Say no.
20%.
Less than 20%. Realistically, less than. Yeah, can be at 15.
Around 17.
All right. Now, yeah, here, yeah, LI 2204 no cry. LI 2204 no yeah. Say be a whole and you're the main contract. No, let's create a foundation into your constitution. Article 2576 if it's in its natural state, idea. Right. Now about 268 it's a parliamentary supervision. Into a contract was a parliament and ratify this argument. Okay. So that is the structure. Based on that, a petroleum agreement. So there's a constitutional provision. And you're at now 19. I created a legal framework. And based on constitution, the legal framework, then we have our petroleum agreement. We should conform to those. Okay. Now, so if we are not able to put structures in place for at 919 to come out fully, the petroleum agreement every time. Now, let me throw this into. You have the major, we call them the seven sisters in the oil industry. And all the new emerging seven sisters. How many oil I can see, groups I can see from 18 something, almost 30. Now, them say, Ibu okra, on insurer. So, and we recruited the best brains in academia for more tax experts near day, or more advice you on tax avoidance, not tax evasion. Tax evasion is a crime. Tax avoidance. Inti so you create arbitrage ni hwan no omba ukroma ya study laws no and we say
shortcut or be far on tax no.
Exactly. For instance, LI 2204 it has to change. What is a local company?
You are answering the entire yenya less than 20% of your oil near the
exactly. What's a local company? It will be Banober is a company or Ghana is a local company.
Okay.
So now, but also a creative partnership with the indigenous. Until now, we have a local company which is different from an indigenous company.
Okay.
Indigenous company here, say yeah, indigenous, they be more than 50%. Right? But local company, let's say be our bar, no, be our amount 90 or not for 90, but about 10%. Maybe a
local company, so when your local companies are
maybe a petroleum commission so will supervise because that's their mandate. To get the regulator. Say your GMPs petroleum commission regulator. Now or no so can say okay. Into Ghana for saying a year Juma or company. Oh, you been any power a Juma. Okay. But in reality, na Juma Ben or you maybe I no provide now providing you cram out company now. We see I want to cook you also. Maybe on your sandwich mom. But that's not the issue. Vessels na kono. It means our contracts maybe.
Okay.
Vessels
so they are abusing Ghana no law na ya.
Now we are what you say. Would amend the LI 2204. You will see the lobbying that will come behind the scenes. The lobbying that will come behind. We are not privy to this. You didn't hear koso. It's here the upstream industry is other internet there. Yetiminya. So I think at 919 no say apart from GNPC, DNA or GMA, yes, I'm creating another indigenous company wanting minimum of 5%. Time I exam by say a per company a bit me match upstream and you 5% no. Whoa. Yeah, answer go. The national downstream company has now also become an upstream
company. Okay.
Yeah. And so now go. Now, how are we building capacity? But people are not even interested in oil and gas. Why? Because me a petroleum guy, everyone will set up
company.
Filling stations. We are setting up filling stations. They say I5. What about OMCO? So, but is that really affecting the industry? Because you say Nigeria for a certain percentage.
Yeah. About 50%.
More than that. Yes. In fact, local content laws no. Everything higher.
It's because Ghana, Ghana. Yenya yeti ayeye emra adana yaye boy ho abro say yenya the way ya hihye law nim say de ba abro ni free the company or the free na bro che ba to oil no onu nya more than yen so we did the law. Why did we do that? Because
of the antecedents. Bro ni ama fa sika ama obetina o lawyer no so sa
but yen to oil no
David yen do ho yet
na city o Nigeria example ya doc mai abrofo no company shell money ade no more Nigeria
almost started 1950
no almost started to oil. Okay.
Nigeria we have 3.6 billion barrels reserves no still 36 billion. Can you imagine that? But you know you to say 20 years 50 years and say I could do it. I was here mistakes on my year near the correcting in term it is lobbying behind the scenes now. Companies there, no. We should have antidotes there. We have strong men. Also, Obama say institutions, no. But you Ghana
strong combination.
Combination, no. All the regulatory, especially the oil upstream sector. Young such a waste. Any trim. Such a waste. At least. More than 20%.
Doc, who you come edusa akode doc or no so wa homa so ba mpese obema say mako doc edusa akode so because this issue who now cover by oil no and a very profound say yeah me kra me kokro nkofo busa na ade ne etu oil ne ekomode na Ghana ye oil sika ne ade wo no wa beti ye ne am ye ho say oil ne etu fu kwa ye nya kapre ye ne ayeti ekrom na nyakopon me oil no ya san ma abrofo and ebetu no ma san de nyina ko ye nyamu less than 20%.
I am the lawyer eka. Me kan na so bu something na didn't nya sa. In fact the mun chechiri mun no waka. Oko Nigeria omo wo face policy. Who obroni na ba person enter into oil ventureship over Nigeria government. The state has to have 60%. Man,
was so mining 60%.
That's a local content.
Not for a private sector, but for the state as a whole. NNPC, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, has to have 60% interest.
Upo was Nigeria mining 60%. Okay.
But Mami Tato, you said the whole issue is that Yembran is saying it here.
Until I was this
so what's the answer? Into your constitution, Article 257. Clause 6 no chere say ade no enye individual ade
ayo
man dia na ya art no na 19 so chere say na so nya me bacho
na ya benya dubuli no.
I think I wanted to stay away from this conversation, but I'm getting interested. Because we are oversimplifying the issues in the.
We are oversimplifying it into bacho men samba your point na.
You say bre two dubuli no. You see afi na nya no foforo nti eni ayi. You say 10% free participation interest. Now we have the first jubilee, you know, also you can have up to additional 2.5%.
After 10%.
After percent, we can only have, and even that we have to inform the investor 60 days.
As or minor.
Inform investor 60 days. Say one person who need additional 2.5%. To the original jubilee, the country no had only 2.5. That is the limit that the agreement had. Now,
Ghana is signs our contract.
Ghana is our contract. There is a positive and strong correlation between how much interest you have and how much revenue you can earn. I've studied it. In fact, as I speak, there is a paper that is not presented yet that you are waiting. There's a very strong and direct correlation. All person who is free with extractive sector, the government has to be highly invested. Now there is a story going on that there is concessionary contracting, whereby if you pursue it, you get the same results mathematically as when you are directly involved. It is an answer story.
And teacher no.
It is an answer story.
Saying.
Say, what the idea na concession? Brody no to be bia, but wait no tricky laws no tax rate in such a way say, wait me nya the tax to the same level as we are directly involved with. And no credit.
I say no credit discretionary. Ube to me.
What
if one yeah?
In Ghana, a concession, the amount is tax rate, corporate tax rate 35%. Additional rent tax, you say, munya profit did you say? The question is, when declare profit or not? About what money tax? About 2-3 years ago, the vice president delivered a speech. Most of them declare profit be asking for so. I think he was speaking to the mining sector. But always you are coming in here, they will not declare the profit for you to tax it. You have to get actively involved to be able to make money that you want. Without that, you say goodbye.
Until Yanni, yeah, say we are not. Yeah, just quick.
The quick response I wanted to have is, I mean, for fiscal regimes, or maybe honestly, decides obviously to benefit from oil. All right, we can question how you arrive at fiscal take, and I said, at the end of the day, you can decide to tax, you can decide to participate, and all of that. But what we have decided is to partially participate and tax. All right, it's
And I'm saying the taxing does not
model.
work.
It works. They pay tax.
It doesn't, because they will not declare the. You say corporate tax.
Also,
Why would they not declare? Yes, but I mean,
someone declare profits.
why they not declare? They are paying taxes in this country. They are paying this year in this budget alone. Yeah.
Taxes on the profit.
Yes, they pay tax on the profit.
And
they declare profit and they pay tax on the profit.
Let me give
you may have an argument. You may have an argument on how much profit they declare. That is a different conversation. That is not for the oil company.
Are you saying say they declare profit
every year? Apart from the first 2 years of production at Talo, because of time almost started production December, and they have to push the whole year's tax onto the subsequent year. They've been paying tax consistently every year. All right. And decided, sir, beyond what the participation of the country is, you pay 35% tax.
Yeah, but is that a good strategy?
It is not different. You see,
to Nigeria,
I mean, he's an economist. You can model your fiscal regime to see how much you are getting. It's not 20% for Ghana.
It's theory. They based on theory.
It's not theory. You have a document from the budget is before you. You know how much tax the companies are paying. You have to add that to what you are getting from your participation.
Let me tell you.
You have to add that to your participation.
From 2015 to 2018, there was lifting by the oil companies to the tune of over 9 billion. Out of over 9 billion oil they lifted, do you know how much profit they pay to us? The 35% profit, including the scheduled rent taxes. Fed the country only 2.6%.
But that is oversimplistic. Because the investment is 4 billion. Unless you argue that the investment is not relevant. Unless you're arguing that you don't need to. Exactly. Yeah. Unless you can argue that investment is whether you invest 4 billion in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Sierra Leone, in Abu Dhabi, wherever, if you invest that money, it has to be recovered from the oil. It is done everywhere.
Yeah, there's revenue oil before you.
So regardless of your strategy, the cost of investment will be recovered.
But you see, my point is that
in the Nigeria experience now, Omo making more than 20% average na Ghana you making.
Yes.
Omo do omo investment now. So they able to make their investment.
But you see, that is where I'm saying that we don't. This conversation, this platform will not be a time will not be able to address all those concerns.
I think we must come back.
Yeah, we can come back to discuss upstream oil and gas industry and how taxation and beneficiation happens.
I'm coming out with the paper.
In Nigeria's situation, it is participation. The NNPC participates.
Thank you very much. That's the point I want to make.
So there's a different conversation.
We must participate.
We must.
We have been there. We have even been to a situation where we decided that we would spend on GMPC for them to do all the drilling themselves.
And
that's the question.
Let's come back
on this stage enough.
We can have that conversation. It's not emotional. It's about investment decision.
Precisely.
But I try with GMPC say exploration. So up till now, GMPC gusu drille.
You have to contextualize that conversation also. It is a balance between whether you are investing in your school's education or you're giving that money to go and drill. And then you contextualize that.
Calculation. Na say you drilling, na say you benya more faswa. You betimi adrilling here this kind of
conversation now. Is it that easy? And how much money has been
we've been there before
into drilling and fasobia masama in foreign investors?
But what say we've been there before? Is it PNDC law 84 times, 64 times? And I said,
we've been there before. I mean recently.
Because those days no one drilling. GMPC before.
Yes,
GMPC. They have 2 blocks.
Precisely.
They're supposed to be perhaps the most prolific, if you want. Because they have the money to go and drill in the sea is not easy to come back.
But the political will because your political will we can find the money against
it's not as simple as
create another time for upstream.
It's not as simple as political will. It's not as simple as political will. It's what? It's money, cash.
Oh, no, it's political will.
And the risk associated with it. Because with me, drilling $100 million, you won't find oil.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
And they have drilled many.
But the kind of GMPC seismic database, exactly.
Foreign investors
I thought you sat there and you analyzed Ghana's fiscal position. A car, so there
be a value for money.
That is the value for money question I'm asking. It's the value for money question I'm asking.
And
but the probability for Ghana's exploratory success is about 10%.
Nigeria no
the probability.
Okay. Foreign countries no still no explore.
Explore.
And no wia, unya wia. Yes, emra chese wo.
Okay.
What you see? I don't think anything could be.
Nti what is the motivation ma unfortunately ma shabe dwani bi ania ana ye rakoku kwate so jeep ne so ne be kasa no one on funny phone no kra na wakasa because it looks like ye nyina ye ka gu aban so benye effort ye rakoku kwate should have been on the line and na zoom na ko ne akasa. That's the agreement we had with him because they said okay ya na ye kwatena parliament ye ma shabe jafo and ye decided say ye mfa Nigeria model no because na Nigeria model no was available for us.
The model now if I say there is a write up going on there, that whether it is concession or whether you have direct participation, it leads to the same result.
Absolutely.
I'm saying practically that is not true.
It's true.
It may be true in theory, but in practice, it is not true.
Okay. Because
in practice, it is not true.
Because
people have to change their mind.
Even if you have 80%,
you do not agree to say.
Me engineer, baby engineer na nkasa say, you know, you bet me say. At the time I hear pass it, sir, you to me convert Nigerian model because you build the industry. My position about participation is you build your industry to the point where we can now flex our muscles.
And now is the time.
If the policies and everything we are doing is not to build the industry, you to me flex it. You bet which my law no 90% ubiama. When say zone was known as the dead zone for the petroleum industry.
Absolutely.
Really?
In the 80s.
Okay. I know already say your potential no.
Exactly.
Risk in your high.
It's young building to the extent. I be do baby now we can flex muscles. I find now. Who say you say no? Who call like you
potential.
like you call UKCS near there. Now the government crowd doesn't have an NOC because wapahun. He said British Petroleum is not. It doesn't belong to the government of UK. Private.
Okay.
But you say no, I build it. That's where I think participation or we know. Let's build it to the extent where we cannot begin to take models and working outside.
Developing countries are using to make money.
Exactly.
And we are not using those models.
That's about that conversation because when you say Ghana for now, ya bomb pay ama oil la Onyankopon di bi adoye no. Ye nya the best. Nti sa asema dog Said Boache can say very important say we look at it say aden na Nigeria for to me make it this much. Na ye dey make it less than that. But here Rabben Boache dey no can. Ye dey risk na high. But ye beba sa asem no so dog edusa ko dey
the white man they won't take a risk.
Won't take risk
because they are confident. Let me tell you one thing. Confidence is the root cause of success.
Reality.
You lack confidence, you lose.
Okay. Doc, Edusa ko dey economics department University of Ghana Lagos. Doc, I don't pay you more good morning any akwa baba critical issues so I don't pay. Now what to say there? Doc, I know raise your voice and tone papa will studio because I was Doc, this issue about Ghana, enema kese Afia, abayin dey see na social man state of the nation address, no budget here, and no abaya major policy. One of them year of the rose now. Yeah, what ehini ya kwa face can free. Or haben na dey baba economy no eso.
Yeah, that's the match I'm paying for Dr. Said, my boss is the match. Now, and you my band yesterday in Australia there, a Dawson. And Ghana can also say, I'm not going to say, I want too much. And the abandoned to me, Mobusia, show, send the person or Bono. And see the only option left, and I say, a bit pesticano or memo. And I know because it's kind of a coffin. Now, 20 or the abandoned, almost may expect this or the trouble back. I think I was taken by surprise. At this time, when they taxes and budget anymore, new taxes budget anymore. And James said, "Hon, I buy a business free." And up to $5 billion dollars the Eurobond market, you know. And James said, "Hon, do not or better so they may start a final." Now, revenue mobilization. I mean, the idea manager home power. Name idea na me share the money say. And can you my can't show that and it's a property tax and tax exemptions and you use digitization and revenue do an hour hano. May any action be our budget anymore now by now and any because president in my indication or soon and say or be you so because ID card or the next thing no or be equated the two. Now they revenue mobilization, but budget in the be and Saint Chama. Sikana ebinya revenue mobilization amane kanu ayekana anya bosia na eye eto na odi aba no dada na ba me free senka bia but the name be go akwam say be nye sika na free baby from mu and am dey can boy revenue mobilization or digitization ne property rate and tax exemptions and yakana and no nanka what the VAT na what mu no be ka ho a nanka e be hu say e be koyanim na problem a enya aban we nko problem problem a ada hot tititititi na me ya say yantimi take advantage of this COVID and restructure and number be our budget na the same thing ana na ye ka rigidities a ye ka ho asemi so say rigidities na wa say increase no our budget ama financial minister no onya na ho hin ha no our budget ni mu bia ta enti na say bosia bo na ye say kwa kwa ye na ya dia eye how me sure say ye kwa ye nim no me say mo ka about oil ne extractive sector yes extractive sector no contribution to revenue generation is very low because of your contribution to growth rate over the years now more than 40%. In the extractive sector now contributing more than 40% in the growth rate. Now our contribution to revenue generation about less than 10% or less than 20%. And the idea and no my for going forward in the medium to long term measure no and understand them about about budget which is a short term budget here. Me sure say that no my idea we are road near you know the business canon and show so idea accord them me sure say buy no and the near to Bosiana up to $5 billion now for Euro market now and how no the near to so
but Dr. Mbusa this issue about a major policy which is your first year of the road second year of the road here president Kaye already was a contracted crew soon that say abandon the womoka omuntri that's an issue that is pending already o boss so am yati say Dr. Said Boy say fiscal space bi eni honom yes say o man ye ho kye ma alaji inu safu say ni so aba be confirm say say yare nam no akadompe asa bi eni honom je say bosia ene ye kobo na ye de abaye rose ye de because bi eni baby a in fact revenue no say de o kan na kra no ya boka ye ntumi anye revenue because of COVID no ne ade nyina nti say ya ye pending road contractors for car ye kwa akwaje ye ntwa yo na yesan ba be ma another year of roads no how do you propose as an economy say ban be service ade ye ko fasika no wahi de atua contractors for nika na yasan award additional contract and so scanning free hin ye de be ma wo are you aware of baby a I don't know how do we solve it
ala me ka say aban am say the near to 5 billion euros na okobo bosia no o na de near to
aban no kra no dog enu kra boss a che mu say 3.5 of 5 billion no ebe ko debt service you ya be san de akotua ka
yes nti na ataka krabi nti enya dia say kwan na bia 100,000 kilometers no peso ya me ye sure so obetima ya ni nyina afi we mu oben kaka and ma me sa edwina ho say even agenda 111 no kra nya dia afi we obetima ye mu efakese na because sikasem no afi na epeja covid no be say nyoma ana afi na sikasem no peja ana epeja lu na nim a o se de project akese say esi ye ni so nti na ebeya ade a ne kakra mu no obetima ye but entimi nya ade kase but mama nka we say expenditure Ghana over the years no remember say expenditure no best stand in isolation yema expenditure no enko ba bia ebe ma revenue generation dache for example tie roads ra yenye roads no to the extent ya ebe ya linking to some economic activities ya linking to a point ya yebenya dache yebenya sika every ho nti wo ye kwan na se kwan no obi amfaso a amfaso obi amfaso so ye kwan na da ho na se yenyi to obi a wo so a eno so emfa dache manti se ye bibia so ni bia ye be ye bia no we should link it to future revenue generation na ebe ma ye ho atenti se se ade a eda wa ye nyina ye bobo me gidi se am se aban so sa de ni ato sa 100 billion Ghana cash or budget no me hu no budget but me say o say almost out of 100 no aban no be 30 emu 30 na 70 no I be free ankre ho eno so no ade o so di o mani ato so say ankre for no di o musika be shema e be bo aban be tima akre no but one first sika na amade a any project no be ati o mani so no o mo ntimi nya efa kese na
doc mama na wa say ne ebe as it looks very terrible for aban at this stage say so mo ntimi am eja say sika ne de mo ntimi nya project na no mo kan nyina but yenhwe na bia saka yero akoku kwaten ba ebe chire mu perhaps nke be mu ba bi foforo a or they can be free apart from bond yeah and we more than 70% wo de kotuaka nti ahene beka aye benya e rose Ghana for so de emfa bone nche yenya tese we see we second year of the rose so dey bebusa media for so ye be tata wa ko see benya all the answers ansa na hospitals na ade nyina so ebi e wo honom eno kra na ye pe clarification from my buying say on chem say 88 district hospitals nsa o ye broadcasting fellow Ghanaians so kan ye no agenda big agenda ne ba be ka ho anase ehye 101 na all kanu mu ana na ye pe clarification on that they hum baby esika no don't forget a regional 6 new regions they creating here so they are also looking at development establishing their coordinating councils so many are there and no see esika sem I don't envy Aban. This is a very terrible place for any Aban to be and also Shaboni be assign a day a count we don't know where it's going to come from but dog now what point to be answer your call Unyakuma a do sa ko de hono about so we are Aban advisor. What is the solution beyond the now kasi any dialogue unia inus of saying so ebe so senke any national dialogue but advice ben na de be ma because we must find a solution. She said they will be sending a message by it's a contractors here the omoka ye ntia contractors e come de omo already contractors e fan omo ntumi anyo omo because of covid ba ku mienu bi na elections te koso no omunya road contract bi a omo ye obeka budget sales state of the nation ko aban say Temamoto runabout okoye second phase. There's another phase also obeye Temasogo akope also more expansion President Kufo road no omo say ni nyina aban kan o any other things motorway dey wo hono ma eche aban kan Pokua interchange they have to complete it. What would you raise? I don't even know because then I'll be advising aban say ka wona finance minister onyare a then yenye na solve problem.
Say how I will advise the government the advisor amano say medikai aka. First of all, the messaging system amano enya kama. Then nyina ehunu de enema eko. Na nam scientists bi abosia task kra na ade beto ye so a yenim be ade na eko. Say ebi a work secretary kra na wasi bi a wote so a ana wontimi nte so kra na womfa ntumu meka ho a obi ani ba bia eko. Into the messaging of say. Secondly, yan share expenditure no ye
ka bodo
bit matete so. In fact, I also have a paper on compensation. Abiding labor unions. Ghana labor unions are very powerful. What they come to other countries. So me research na me for Ghana and to other countries. The labor union is very powerful. Into your banner would the labor union they can bring you down. But almost I am so almost yasamase. Into no more tenacity, no moon picture no. So this is the picture. Into yen na fine to my mom na yen solve. This year bet maka so into mono yen tiso. Osha budget na buy a debia so much me this wa 2019 na FN say compensation bill 22 billion. 2020 cry COVID no increase to 28 billion. Only 6 billion in 1 year. But 2021 almost be increased to only 30 billion, which is only 2 billion. Into increment no it's 28. What track the rate of growth is very high. But next year 2021 you will only 2 billion. Sir, but only labor and tenacity. I'm a man economy policy no and what's the problem why here you end up spend much more than the 30 billion because what track rate of growth now and 2 billion I said Cabarrasa has to reach around 35 billion but in TSU I've been advising them to cut down the rate of compensation growth and it looks like they have started with this budget but we need labor to understand that
but why can so this omukran so ne yentu omuka yiwo until what are pushing for increasing salaries? Say,
Ufie na Omeska. Now, here now kind of credit. Omano beto ase.
Don't you think the argument will be to say forcing forcing more say corruption any other areas where was say yet office of the president, workers, staff, a good on money idea, even management of our buying and casa yente so people have even gone to the point say as gracia yenchum near making savings, all these things because we are in your tax, yenche way now penny for almost no almost so tighten your belt to bang and not omoye.
That is the level.
But I say when you this not the first time. I to force saying now because MPP for netia konya. But MPP for so tia konya so MPP so much the same
advice.
Size of government will be reduced. Cost of managing running government yente so near there. But it yente so.
Na say me can labor asem. Say labor antna say na omo cooperate. Yen nyina yen solve a problem. Yen solve a problem na e chena bi ana increment na ba. Nemom wo de won solve watch 600 million amamo ho na aka chese me de maintenance into should be holistic
600 million if you
oh aden smell cost one thing parliamentarians mo receive 600 million
es gasha no okay send the constitution
na 600 million is constitution
there be say es gasha no
and I'm
saying that's a requirement it's a monthly committee na committee in your monument
so it could have been 1 million that's what he's saying
enti say one show na one title better na catch labor so one title about any heading na e drive ba adwuma ye hu e fen say e car say e twam na mo wi patro na yes na catch labor say title better it should be holistic. Labor has to help the government and the country to to cut down compensation, the rate of growth. I'm not saying entity market you as name the rate e bitum no esonte. Name eso rate of funds no na wo hwe wo de. Wo catch us on na wo ban no anso a wo catch no nso mate ho de so. Na saban yes I tell you they will get the people to cooperate. E ma nyina team into ba ko e ka say wono etwentwentwentwent na ankoye yi a yenyina ne ho ba kire into we mua na we mua other expenditures be to say free no e ya doso me de wo sika wo ho na wo de be chame amage ba me hwe woni mpa na wo ye kwatrokwa na ka je so be tonto mama me a aka se fa onto na me hwe na wo sika wo botomo de chame a meje enti free no so ye ni bi any say a program say wuska na ade bia is free no yento so for now e man here e free
okay
because free education no baby but me bebre I should say but baby na wo na so yetimi hye ni ma yi afa the fiscal service na create na fa the boa e be boa it will also boost future growth but emra na wo ni sesika no eno no ye expenditure side yen cut corners ne cut corners nti say de na ja sa ko de ka no
yen cut expenditure na o ka say yen cut corners then I just say
yen expenditure no corners no yen cut ye teteso na what is no no baby ya growth no wo okay it say rules ni ade enu hia nti uti we suka na uti we suka kra now they are rules it was interesting in 2017 now at IFS, in fact, led by me, we had done a research on revenue year market. And we said about 35% are basically they call those statutory funds. Abano are short of money because of rigidities near the year market. In the catches, mon capo sa year market funds.
Okay.
Mo capoa, mbenyes kana the bus center. Na mo the best center e be boa ma rules na the am aye ba na said the madam aspa in the past this year marking capping e ho na mo dey call free this free SHS and anything
and I say bibia
I mean to make us say bibia but to me o hwa if 2017 but as before investment in road construction at there e sweating because free no outdoors we are still proposing say offenses compensation in the maniama no abana enhwe no omonkate your policy solutions of how we are recommending abana no kind documents no monhwe is specific policy on between okay see na momunya sika no a mo fa nya ade pamaye
I think before crowd be na point no around the table now about accountability nkonta about bebu ni the this can be yes said ne the fata me back for last round but me kind message was na me ba lawyer me ba how about the law now wa kofa ba ye ntie generate very interesting discussion say and also was suggestions they going for and dey na betimi aye because they say napo na ekwa energy sector it's also fortunately the member of parliament say whether on betimi akọ back for some amendment bia e betimi ama free space bia ba Ghana so e benya revenue kakra say the dog can say ye benya bidi aye kwan ni other things because say na dog can free SHS ni free ni money to road to cry into me anya bi so Ghana for cry e beji free SHS no yeso e sample rules ya je kania no so yeso accommodate ya de o man yan say the dog e beji na semba ye besen aka nti meba ma meka messages bi ayi bra kwa me ma for Delaware also share all the way from Delaware see if you the problem is a Ghanaian worker wants everything but wants to pay less taxes and na yera bemboache e kan ye ne say sa na Ghanaian worker but ye ntwa so say ye nsisi ahiafo no na mo mum pay more na esikafo no mum ete wono ma wom de omutu aketo e bi nti o support de yera bemboache o kan ye no elder o kan e wo ye Long Island no say if you a good job me from live all the way from New York na we say mo ye adwuma pa me enjoy and the discussion mo de ba no doc ni nuanom a omo titable no hu na fantastic discussion we mu and I said the ochemu no politicians also omo fa omo de to omo kotodwom said e be boy Kwabena Sapon and o ka say if you ask the prof if 60% is carried interest or paid interest because in Ghana we don't have any money in tea. Even we acquire 20% interest or oil no kra mu a and also so ye was say assign edikotua and also eka and so see you musa doc mano say profit na Nigeria for interest na Nigeria for ewo no carried interest and I say paid interest and that accounts for the low percentage of Ghana ye won until or see if we do a proper audit we can even get more from oil no say they na bemboache or can it is going away you know theory na or would they buy anything kedumum Mr. Sari so Connecticut so if you am enjoying discussion and penny for no dey ban good perspective and on dey back into the budget and state of the nation address will be an especially to be also there so a very interesting angle e be boy Prof Kwating or University of Cape Coast no see if you a good job and na mo ye na Doc Donfe and no san ba biem no see if you a bemboache and chedante masem na say I said the impact may not be too severe. That's different from saying there will be no impact at all. Indeed, it is because of the impact. That is why some taxes on commercial vehicles not have been removed. Kindly read my messages now for NT say and yes be not the bemboache can me person misinformation ha bemboache so to as a dog until there just the differences in adwin and also edisa opinion so ban Christian mamenka o message or papa ade pena kwantman no say if ya me hwam for manopa wo sha ase no very interesting introduction no kwa na me den say bread and butter issues ampa and ampanifoi wo ka ho ase we na bebo e boatin Christian opoku no say a good job if ya enene moye no na na kua santoa no say if ya I cannot stay without listening to analysis I am ye no critical issues to you are doing a fantastic job na ampanifo no super education and na omode ama Kisley Kumino say I love this education and opaya amode man and in fact and mesuan bebre pa was say Dr. Boache more of him and command pa na gift your red do no say I agree with Ese papa on free Ese Dr. Boache for IFS was say vim say papa no o kano kre no kremu no kre pa to say bonabaso ma me pa da kontri o say me cherish show we pa because ahankwa na mpanifo no ba no politics o mka no pain was ni pain na obia because obia ne professional edada more Melanie no say me ma chance e kran sana ebo 80 kran na me hwe UTV da very century no say I just love program we are more ye no na ohine ba kwadwo no say efia he who fights with his father will one day fight with his own son na mpacho echiresen nti na etumi ahwe Remy Rams so say I just love education na ompanifo na ode o ma betena ho no omode ma Abdul Marcus so say if ya cha lawyer amwakọ abodu ma me pa ne asem no wa komu ma wo so to wa boni chinko pa the solid program na mode eba no Franklin Awimbila o say one of the most educative programs wo Ghana yen Ghana kasemu a otia ene no tumi tia se sanse brofo no to de bia na ye kwa na ye kosa wala nyu wakotia eno se if you may enjoy discussion and the papa jideida hs vim lady please I have a critical issue pa me pewo na ka me no cry ye one on one cry ewo mu asante kwabna Solomon se if you need to apologize to Dr. Bomi say me say this issue is not about Ramatu, it's about bread and butter issues. But you focus on the food. Why? Forget about the captain's wife. Ibrahim Bijao GH, I say I hope this one the politics in Kwan and for Eba ye or Makanya as I say ma yen who say mpenifo fa ebe boy pa na emma or how bia memu nti ya da se no message a wo de ba pofo ma wo si e no say if ya good job and nemo ye no budget de akwakoye brofo na ebinom ebe kan but yes na wo de aba say bread and butter issues and na friends say ye de amaye no ti ye say ye be hu ensem ni nyina say de ensem no etie Ebenezer ntwe no say good job and amaye no good discussion my enjoy discussion ne pa am koso na am koso cause aha na yetumi te ensem na say any the real issues no etumi bo ama Ghana eko na anim no because YouTube yi we message a wo de aba from YouTube so say if you critical issues ampa and na de one my yat ensem wase papa in fact empedifo no good job and ye de be ma wo mo na fifi o say good job and more year number 50 do baby so I will say this woman is unbelievable woman ben how can I say me Alex Boat no say so MPP couldn't do it then NDC ne betimi aya na o say ekwa don kokra na o say ton Ghana kra man na say dey abre the mpanifo can cry they say there's no hope wo omeyi Clifford Boatin dan kono say the government should cancel or reduce the so-called ex-gratia no enu be save sika bebre de be yemputu djuma wo main Victoria say no say the next coming years no be more than passport chese Ghana de ensem bebre na ewo oman emu na Lovely Asante say MPP has managed to get 15 million people in the tax net omo ye Ghana card niti ene yenya sankofo ni wo se ye bona baso na ye jai se ye ka na negative edigu aban no esu no fifi no say enough of this Nigeria de bia na Nigeria Ghana ye hwe ye de ni ehu de ebe ya yeso ye be mo man no etumi akọ na anim na Patrick Titofe eno say if you are sad say Pacho this vice president atemia mpese chinchin anope ye ka bread and butter issues mo dey be Pacho I won't read that message why ekua duka no say if you amunye adwuma no pa and then me enjoy a discussion now but remember say Jesus is coming Mark Sapo no say there must be a proper debate on the best use of Ghana oil gold any no resources e de be bo man ne nya se de bia no ye ne nanenam ene ye la sulala no eno de nya de e be bo obia e wo mayi emu we are losing everything kwa Lovely Asante Asan baby no city Ghana ye modern refinery ye oil and gas ne ade ne ntumi fanye bibia e be ma enfaso bia ba se Ghana de bia ye na ma ye se de yera bemboache ne dog cheche mu no abrofo ne de o ma ba beji yesika no sa Anthony Banama no say we need to service our debt yes I be default na ye default so abrofo no besa agin nti busa dog ma ye se ne e be ne den cause o say ye diska ni twensi hu aso ade we need to service our debt ono ne dia o de ba no Michael Boat no say Ghana de doomsday ene ye duru ye hwe a enye ye eno ne baby a ye duru Max Apo Masande odie no asan ababio ba o say I'm always saddened by the kind of revenue Ghana ye because ye nye sika no say the sefata say betumi nya Kofi Asama no city after 64 years Ghana emompa de Afia odi opese odidi attempt market men kan ho no enka ho because this is not ideas in here don't come and insult anybody Kofi Asama no say if ya ase ebinum am studio no ye de asem na ye politics we nya asem na we say de politics o say etumi ka no kre Boatin family Jima no say if you don't agree with doc na or studio ni say free SHS ka ho e no man aboka on de o ka numbers na you don't have to agree with him but on pen no kre no so dia e no de so wa kana asem Koja Samoa Kodua no say I don't know who this man is and baby are free because as a free SHS ye nyina ye hia bi ne so ye ma aba ba ye te se wono no ompese ebenya bi nti waba be kan egu free SHS so ye no na ye so ye ma ebetima be doctor Sabet na studio to for Alex no say please let him know say we are not in advanced countries ye ntumi nye te se omo enti onya so criticize laptops na ban de ma teachers ehia say yetumi eye ne sa Rights Fuller or say him I just love this show pa Sam Davis no say babin edi no okobo no Ramatu ne de osheda I say, and then the person by force, I'm here on my 2 agenda. No, am I gonna for? Oh dear, Yamatian say, because he, and the any ladies who here a chance, I Ramatun already. A Vice President Alaji Mamudu, I Eddie statement about say. A figment of somebody's imagination. No crese there's even a Ramatu anyway. It is very important that Obekana Obiye who no krena a womb say and no crese there's even any Ramatu because I even have said say Dr. Baumia cry a cremoni obetimi aware for nti we cry the senka any problem say or and a Christopher Cromunya cremo for cromo yerenom mienu miensa because we guests so eka ho nti any big deal bia but and when you a tax on my petrol na yekoto ho tax no Ramatu metua mayen what you say laptops are me economy na yesi mu achina sika bi enima ye kobo besia no Ramatu metua mayen ti ye fa Ramatu discussion into ye focus on the bread and butter issues asana yakoso council make ase meba ho na ebusia say wo hwe law ni mu a whether ye betime nya space bi wo mama yeso yetime nya Nigeria fo sika ye omunya idia na
me da say yentimi enya no de manima haya because edin say seems can we are so to keep an aspect of the law the lobbying I caught behind the scenes any I don't know it was any gradual now for ye gradual no ye no to the extent say adwen we team say ye build the capacity so enti say ye build the capacity now kon mu time say we say 90% and obi ama because seems can in the 80s na say higher dead man zone we single billions wa unya petroleum no ndi ye say egugu mu no and afei the cosmos buyer yenya no na yen hwe LI2204 no for instance America say ero de e was here system no regulation 4 an indigenous Ghanaian company shall be given first preference in the grant of a petroleum agreement or a license with respect to petroleum activities subject to the fulfillment of conditions specified in this regulation. And the think Ghana ni na Ghanaian company no una have first preference so and so Ghana company no saying and I do level la ye beka se babeje na kutu oil ye GNPC kura they are building up to this stage. Into these are building the capacity no I will see here near building now for there shall be at least a 5% equity participation in of an indigenous Ghanaian company other than the corporation near GNPC no. Into besides GNPC, they also no another Ghanaian company, indigenous company. How many Ghanaian indigenous companies do we have at this moment? Omuye qualified, so ombe call could play upstream. When we are realistic, and but realistically, no, saying these are the issues. How are we building capacity? I may be to me at the Akujina. I say to me solve it. For instance, I buy a say okay, make me create this capacity, and I mean policies are able to build capacity within the next 3 years or next 2 years. So it means enwa na fe na yet me able to pepenso abeka say okay, sa position way. In fact, some we cry metrim. Acre Oil, for instance, the managing director no is a Ghanaian. All right, it make I say okay, these positions. It makes my laws. These positions must be Ghanaians occupying these positions. So, on the one stone, actually 2 beds. You female empowerment. Almost like of the Osan class I oba account. So until you kill it too. Yeah, I say okay. You building these positions near Ghanaians Ukraino. You nyanka we class I come maho. Nanka ya flex your muscle side there. But say yam build it sa capacity now. Yes, the ecosun saying local content near. All the other companies have their local content department. They can call local content, they can call it corporate social responsibility. Unum do omo omba na be football park amamo. Football park there then ma yen na baby a ye ho no ye betimi enter into the industry. Say be ya ye be ka say okay so person obey oil no wa ha at least year bia no for 100 ko school e could do this level at least you say be betimi be wura industry and
here na dog ko kan say no ye na ye be sesan law na chechire o mo say chechire say the Nigeria for you must build a university here and say build it but you say na a training institution be artisans betimi aba be ye divers
exactly at least the vessels why am na the vessels no at least vessels are be monitor sa main rigs ne ade na e ka say okay amo fish shipping fishing no mama mba within this sa contract so kwa hwan mo ho na eko na e ka say per vessel what is the vessel no the standard because any vessel dey go for fish near the ba oil industry what's the standard na sa contract kwa hwan na benya say meka say o ka say sa standard most of the vessels do not qualify until you ka say me na menya contract now okay then I should be assured say sa contract with the next 15 years in that case no more building ships no or more China and those places they will build it to suit na metimi akọ leverage on it say me so make akọje say bibia amortization me boa na ma call leverage on that okay say me ni sika but me was our contract we until me akọje sa sika we na ma spread my returns on it but sa contract me nya me anya na sa dia always those kind of contracts they be call other people are come figure now into the end no mess once you na my sandwich akomo that is good money
okay
but we want more than that.
Okay, you're watching. What do you propose? For instance, energy, the area we are very knowledgeable in. Say, betting me resolve a crisis, no? And you say, as I'm paying doom so is a baby.
Yeah, I think a lot of issues have been raised even beyond the budget. I think in the course of time, no, we can have a platform to educate people and, I mean, there are very good conversation on localization and taking advantage of the industry. The industry is not just about how much government gets from the upstream, but along the chain, Juma Ben, how much is Ghanaian contributing to it? Taxes and revenue from that side. But staying on the budget for now, I mean, the point I'm making this morning, I say, Ghana is not an island. Taxes are imposed, within the context of the CFCTA. We have to be able to penetrate other markets. And primary inputs to production, no. We do want to see society on air for now. We go to Hong Kong. We as now other countries are taking advantage of our market and not us. Me and Kodru Hona, I say banning Nigerians from entering into our market. When promoting the growth of our own industries and businesses, I'm a competitive and no back and the policy to increase the fuel, no, we have to look at it and look at it again. How competitive would that make us? And beyond that also, no, I will see a share other sources of revenue. Tax policies are implemented. In tax, the system is aiding them to do that. And a lot of evasion is happening at the port. I bet me I resist scanner petrol so easily, but because you knew well, when you do out in the container chamber, you do any actual. And no, raise revenue. So we're always looking at the cheaper way to look at it. And I was here, and again, you cannot, be a casa aba, but the major concern about saying that climate effort so a big cannibal, and on the any budget no more. And I think that is a major concern. Yakoso aboka ama excellent mientua na yesanso ebe bobium at the ato amanfo so no the kwa ever so ebe jais e canobo no is a primary concern now. Say ebe betimi distribute electricity na yetimi atuaka ama enkoya aban na ebe behwe electricity so no ukọ be be electricity system eye adwuma enya aban na tuaka the generators generate, the transmitters transmit, and amo distribute electricity no omutimi gisika no editua the value chain. Oko baby o ha ubisa when na utua electricity man ko ha obetinity no ansa na watimi atua. And so here dey cambrofo chire generation excess capacity. The consumer doesn't need to know these things. Anya juma so to they be already press statements about one generating, one boy can one or distributor and as a transmitter. People should get back to work and do their job. And in the young if fixes our problem no. PDS assembly betray more anko year. A banker said within that time frame up to December 2019 no, only the alternative ever be seen the alternative in my until the problem is still there. Systems in Nigeria what you about say light born any pre because transform na see future na nyadwuma enye ye enti no we need to fix those problems. And yes, power they are generating, we have to pay, but the consumer cannot even consume and contribute to paying Kano. And those are the major issues that we really have to address, and they are missing in the budget. It makes it difficult to comprehend. We are imposing more burden on the consumer.
Doc, my bow for final comment. My read the message. You were do a champion, and no kase nyakopon shamo Afia for this topic. They said why o panel no we politician be anim no krecho do no no maba and on my betina studio and on my canon. A bomb pie and pennyphone betty or no de ako asupemo. Obatampa Francis Siam, a message was saying Ghanaian entrepreneur will pour millions into Chinese and Turkish economies with the attendant forex issues. They must redirect Sasikani in Amra Ghana economy. No, Niamana Mokofa or China, ne, Turkey nina, so that Ghana in partnership no can turn it into an industrial hub of a sort. Was say Honorable Napobe stopping the loot and share in the energy sector. Responding to Asema Kenya said there's loot and share in the energy sector. Na Napo ebesho so be transforming in United. Asema Okache na Honorable Babine NDC phone and say they should stop the jokes about Ramatu and focus on the economy because no and a beje Ghana for enkwani message or they eba no na edo kran so the abaso ye chia panel no because I say panel no very fantastic. Oma mese wesi bia de tie no a na panel no oma kan chodo no Mukaila Jones e de ya wo carry no save mo ye too much and but those who think the NDC know that none of their doomsday agenda no and be hold because the name Kufuor Nankasa no blessed nti wo mse ne ma nye but o say ebeye ono so interpretation or the to asem no so eno no nti na messages ameka doc me fa final comments.
Thank you. A friend say you share contracting was mining in the oil sector and how much you generate. Mesra buying say fa enye ahweso na bauxite now I press you too no. President promises say a company will come very soon. Ni nya hwe yi. It's say and some people discount. Depending be a discount too.
Brofona doso system no.
Yeah, depending be discount.
Nanka wo yadio.
I'm just no beating or say there. But at that brofona.
Depending be discount to the value of extractive sector in development. Which means young manufacturing industrialization. But research has shown that there are two routes to prosperity. One is through effective extractive sector management and industrialization. You try industrialization one and go ye is answer a idea and take. Yes, all kind of force one industry's number. But extractive sector idea you will all order that. To your mom modern say you beat me and yes film. It's opaque countries here. And then I may check a Qatar. They are only 2.8 billion.
Million and a billion.
Million. Only 2.8 million. Then so they have control over their extractive resources. And I'm saying, you know, Qatar's per capita income on PPP basis, $96,000. It's a United States, it's a UK, it's a what do you call it? Germany. United Arab Emirates. The same thing through the use of extractive resources. Generate so much money, about 70% of government money if the extractive sector and a developer. Yes, so say be a lucky. Over 2018, for instance, you produced $11.5 billion worth of minerals and oil resources. 11.5 billion in 1 year. Say in your film, credit. It is a way a lesson will mining a sector there. Boss at the end of the year. If you say, resources we not a depletable resources. Who 2 years asa to want man you be thrown out a croissant. And no development it be free. Industrialization, you know, ya try any year. Ain't year. Na bauxite. I mean, can say young come mining there that is to say the lawyer can yen ye into the engine. Afutu
you. Yeah, that's a dog. Yeah, that's a partner futu near a year or day am because we need that council. Yes, sir. Ye to me go fight. Okay, time that's but finally and saka year cook cutting. unim so wache oye more finance ministry no oye machebejeni wo boase honorable anope ya mo achi o
well me do so me tia chat here phone na mo fanche me anope me home for me papa
any kafra because ya wache the whole day
mo fanche me UTV yakoye ni me mu be adwuma pa
yo any kafra so ye bompa so ho beto ntem na ye busa budget on the state of the nation address ni nyina no aban the new eniema bebe abem for instance obatampa fund no odiaban big agenda there about 111 projects isikani any ade nyina isikani free hin ebeba second year of the roads ni nyina mo benya isikani wen bosia
da bi mfa yakoye nim kra no wo hwe ebosia enhihye aban aya na gese yagitum se enam covid baye na expenditures kana yenson ho da yese yebebo kra na wo se yebo ena na eka ya yenhihye yese yebebo ne nso no na ehun sika no emma bio intino na wo ta aban ebobosia Sonya beya enioma fata se ye de bo Ghana dihye ho ban na ye de enioma hiama oman no na o se ye bobosia ye nti wo ko wanimu no saa bosia na o se wo pekwan bi fa so na wutuaka enu nti na budget we mu abaya pekwan bi a ye be fa so a ye be gi sika kakra fi Ghana dihye ho na etumi aboa na ka ye bobo ye nyina no ye koye nim no yatumi yi afri ho na ye de covid ne ho nsensem no ato ye chi nti ye koye no ye ntumi ammobosia kese ye de be ye sene misika ye no revenue be ye say de aba but answer na covid ba ye no ankasa no na aban Afia se ye nhihye ya ebema sika ye ankasa yetumi bua no wo ye kuro mu hase no ebepaja GRA in Shishaya or in fact the national identification card, the automation, and after so no the Putoka mere friend of compliance measures. Ghana Hanko Pina also mutia etwa omo entia. Aban ebe yire ninsem ewo omo a omutiato fatas omutiato nso omuntia no. Me sure say ye kanza hye ni nyina abomu a ye benye sika na ye dia ye kwanim de e wo se ye uka obatampa program no a eye ekwan e be fa so Ghana be se ye sini dada mu te se ne oman bia apatrika 20 also sini dada mu no ye sika no mu be ye se wo ha enchichemu adioson 70% no private sector ntina aban ebo modern say yebema domestically macroeconomy no aye kama sene be ya nkofo ye ka private sector na kesa ankran sika Ghana hase ni amano ne nti efa dodo no ano ebe free ankran ho de ebe free yen aye ho no o hanchichemu aduasa 30%. Sa 30% ni de ye gidi say ye budget mu ye betumi enya free nti wo hwe sa budget aye ya some of the programs were nyina no obatampa recovery no ho
yeah but honorable budget ni mu amode 30% ni be free no already economy ni mu close year no with about 0.9% growth away from the estimated growth of 6.8 no 0.9 per private sector no so na covid by aban kresu but they are the biggest hit nti from budget na mu no kra no kwan bi no apart from bond ya mo se mo kwakoji bond no so mu di mo 3.5 be debt servicing ye kwakotuaka nti enu mu na mo de ba be she budget mu benya 30% na private sector no so obi a ho che na dada nti 70% no how will you raise it from the private sector?
Private sector investment you can private sector crime crime investment and and who help budget ni mo a you can for instance making Ghana an energy hub. You heard you baby ye gina say you want poano. Any your neighbors are omu any poano na. Aha you to me a higher energy hub for petrochemicals ye import and the ye chi wa ha sei ye botae ne se yakoye nim no economy ne mu bagia e wo se san industries ni na ankran de omusika efri baabi ebewuram nti essentially obatampa no ankasa na ban jindi se aban no ankasa ebenya sika na odi ebie economy nim na ban na kra no economic management aban meka business management aban onya de ya nkran ne betumi aye business nti ya botae ye koye nim asaban and say ye be ma environment no aye kama and we share macroeconomic indicators are will form in spite of COVID near the idea ni no at the year into obi the misika ba be yegmo Ghana ha ha no into all the remaining 30% be free private sector no if you anya say ye first sika bi na ye dia akoma private sector ye sika ye di be create sa environment no into wo hwe road sector akwa bi o ho a wo be yi and the Kaiser of a Tampa program in the medium term way in Fiabaya and Naya Dayanimino. Baby, how be aqua, but time in the set up a sound crown cry, a dio musica, a fasa, a quine so, a coyer industries. Oh, baby, out the back corner. A bunch of fun, a war of a recovery program. Via Enono.
Well, honorable, I confused Kakra because all the who can in our private sector you are also increasing taxes. We are not even sure bet me so far taxes me sana mo dia estimated revenue are more share quite say mo benye free mo na because already more revenue shortfall dada. It doesn't look like a better recover anytime soon. A better recover maybe second quarter, third quarter this year. Now inti who bet me my idea how much you want to raise from sa revenue now mo de taxes for no COVID there baller there any idea mo dey abeshim no any fuel there no what idea
I'm the rate media to budgeting but in terms of the total revenue I benya from each of the handles no I think I'll say you share budget no ankasa revenue I see benya total taxes are especially yenya 2021 3 quarters are akaimu no for the entire 2021 yenye bidada no about 72 billion Ghana cedis no any grants ukabo mo a de ebedru no eni atumdin budget nim sasika no bi na sani sika ye de ye part of the Obatampa recovery program but at the same time ya council say ye do bosia no bi aka ho the cancer bosia ye be susu ananu ntire say ye jai kura ye heard that sustainability of a career bonitire say ye heard say a career bono emmene yen enutino ya bre anu ase ba ye be kakra asosika yen ankasa ye benya ne ho nti ubisa question no na magine ya me say ya kase na mo ji taxes fi private sector we better na private sector no enyini
sir
you see ya balance so na ya njejisa taxes no na macro economy na balance ya kire say inflation any ade no anu ambrasia obi crowd ni sika ba economy ni mo awonpe nti sometimes sa ban bejije ankran ho sika na ye dia economy no san ye be ya investment the cost no so boa private sector balancing act and into program where we are spreading over 4 years of our Tampa recovery program na FIA 9 and kakran dia my be ni chefa ni akoso aye nioma ebema ankran kon adoso mu de musika beba ye san nioma na ni wa rehemu say FIA 9 no ye betumi agina ye 9 so akase ampa problems are called through 2020 no afi ye dia to ye chi
your honorable pacho where they just before abeko say most akobo besia biem e de aba abekan which is the obvious and na waken economists here o maka say no mu nyina akọ confirm say e true be be aduro no o say e bo besia but omo so ache mu say debt to GDP ratio ka ye bosia ya bo no wo de tu ye nyini na ye nyini no say ye do 76% o enti unu ya be ma inu safuse ni kra bekan o ha say aye akadompe enam na sa akadompe Dr. Said Boache so confirm say baby eduro no eya ajegon nti gise mo aban mo sesa mo kasa bo hye bebre na mo hye no enye feasible say sika mo benye sika baby ya de aye ko de mo aye bebo kan de mo kra na afede na ehipek no kra ye betwam kra how do you respond to say you say ye drew a hippic status say ke kan enye say do middle income status ke do en fa say hippic status no na ye san abobesia ni bia gumu say de ba ye ne ma yi a ye nyina yi na ye kro ya anso asan de ne ma ache ya che kanea ya che nsuo ya che nkrofo sika ye san ko bobesia biem
fere de kan be ya no ntiawa de kan 76% na wo boy no was say you who nature city ankasa and no over financial sector banks na omo adani sabi onkonkrowa nenso omo guso jinkofo sika na was say e kachi omso munjai na ye fa e ka omo agigi a sika ne ye hu di omo dia ni na no ye pesika ne ye tuama depositors. Now, Sanchez and Yan Shisha, I hear quite the event of Afia. Sanchez and I hear up to a Canadian or budget to a Kuramunti and not done a baby. That's coming in a home and the 76%. In fact, we those extraordinary fiscal impacts, no, every month, your debt to GDP, no, and now about 58%. You have to need our budget. And lady kind, but the atoso you queer any mono. Send him Sikai, yam pesa, a 50 preco, you somewhat, you know, young to me, Yano, Ningina precope, and one thing about Tampa program, I am in fear 9. Into Bosiano, Osha, projections in the budget of Bosiano, Yabram once a cry. Is a yen the idea Kakasian bano enya dear bet na hoda dia se beba dear. Now once a Canada holiday, it was so year in Shire, say in the medium term, or they would debt to GDP no, or the beba part sustainable, and unti and ya Bosia Bonchi no fear again in the budget in the medium term. Your part your namswa, you bet me after 4 years, not debt to GDP no. Aba levels are yenina no yakoma DH. The masre ya say budget way no budget na me no edin na edin if we say this be walk through a how or my bia go through say how no nti a kabeda ho was so tua at the same time Ghana this year no e be tua e kanu ankasa no omo so akwaya omo Kofu Pieduma say, now say into a mix of policies. Uberso binum fi umwa adian ka umkese hospitality industry near the adiano. Uberso monfi. Omo nkuma bia or a taxi driver anase or a truck driver. Uberpe kwan bia faso na omono waso monfi kakra at the same time. Na I was say utumi ehwe bosin a obetumi abo de obetumi agye fru nkofo account budget we ne no den but ansisha ya we the best arrangement obetumi aye that's Ghana this year ni media nyina sa muntayachi na mutayachi na ansisha we nyina aye adwuma media minim se enfie na yachi ye behwe yachi ni aka se aban a yenya anu die Ghana ahihia ye komu enam yare boni we no afi yedi atuyechi abanu ayade
yeah me last question bampacho we my final question which is that there's an argument for munuano minority for any other economy say mo mismanage Ghana economy no na enye mo na mo sha ase o mo che say e sha ase long before kra mo ba 2013 nya na mismanagement no cause ma mo no anka o mo wagidie wo mu MPP for the you have the men and come betimi aba bedane mismanagement mo ma ba be ye more mismanagement ama afi de Ghana kra de omonyo e ka ba say yes an betua petrol eso e ka no ama ye ka no asan akoso as say mo she bo say mo nye bosia enso mo san je bosia bo we ja tum say mo mismanage economy na say de na eduro no ana eduro no ana mo de eduro
Oh, Afia, only a TF4. I mean, so be a jitum sanya COVID by ya. Na Ghana, yen tutu yen na ye koye na nye yen kwa amanoni. Na international observers na kasa Afia Ghana ye koye Afia na rating agencies no as activity ye. I mean, committee awa. Yen tia 2018-2019. Na ye tumi kokonje bosia. Ehun simu wa from near the ametua bosia again in 2015-2016. The entire 2 years and say na se nkofo starting hu say Ghana economy age na ye nti omo boy bosia ehun simu na kofo. Nti ye nim hwe kura no wo sa de ne pe e wo say kira wo say economy no we pejana. Nti ye nyina no eye hard figures and then and now figures no politics wo ko wanim na we are penny na san yama na wuja if say we no man ho but say you say a comparison pa if you dey indicators no obi abetumi ahwes akafe economy ba ya mismanage no so far inflation and inflation apart from say affect say obi ko dwom ni sika or they call last month so ye this month so no ebetumi ato sa nyoma na so we say anhye no a ye beso ade we mu na 15.4 Nene woka say and I'm 10.4. So far interest rate and me bobo nyama we so because it's economic management. We can't wait me a deficit we can be but baby ehun here what this year and the interface between economic management and people's personal economies. And until people's personal economies negna inflation say and nyama bo e gane pi ana ano abrasi. The interface na ni say business that can say me pabosia or bank de bia madwuma mu a enka ne net sign say si na te sign policy rate ya ba ya na enam 25.5 covid a kire ni de ba ya nyina no enam 14.5 ena wo pabosia or banka ensi hu a wo ho no e wo form esene sania enfie nan na obenya no me pese me hu obi obeka say ya ba ya manage economy ni the old so pa ediaka and Ghana tell me can ye tumi ko bobosia edibetua bosia ye born more than 4 years ago if you say na the economy ni no yes ne sa abre no me dey me gitum afia say enie payo if you say aban bia no obotae ene say wadehie nyina no omu be high omu so long as ankofo ewo omanu dem omu business senkoye no aban no ubo ho abaso a enyeye ti me gitum se ye enwie peyo na emom de o se ye gitum ne se wo hwe ba bia ye free ni ba bia bedru dia even covid kura eka ho no still no ano economy no egina ye sene se na be de beton de ye aban o se ye ne se enioma ye o se ye san hwe ni bio ye dane no kwan bi so a improvement nya eno kra no ebe pagya bi aka ho
okay
na mum de aboa ye nso no ye nhyemu kena na me ye nkasa enhyehyɛ no ammo efisa mfie nan ni amammo ene economy nhyehyɛ de ba ye de aboa Ghana mai bebre
okay ye akoko at me do beti a one mantem ka ye nya wontem because ye energy sector levy ni say ye pese ye hu say the esla na wo no maje sign so far he na maje we ahina because your questions bebre ni ade
me hu to me ba studio me de sa figures ni nyina beba na ye dinkita hu
me pacho because na panelists ni nya kasa ase ne mamu na ho bebre e magana fo no esa say we your tax dada ho a mogistika ye nya hu dodo a aba o mo afa ye san de foforo aba mo ba beje why na
intiatiam budget no figures ni nyina wo mu na mo metia se budget na so and technical documents so ntie bia yetena se a revenue figures ni revenue handles ni nyina no de ye nya free mu so far sika to a ye se ye di ba de ntia na ehia se ye de ba figures no nyina no ewo budget ni
okay
na misi kan ye benya mre na ya fa no baako na ya kira sia ma de hie nyina atiase
yo ya da se de ba unu anom bo asefo so omo so betin sem na se especially ene ya mo san akoye repackaging of ejapa san de na be ye o se yete ejapa de no so asini ehu de ebekom because ye dance for ni bia ye adwen say mo am package ni ye mom no man san fa ma de ne be ye demonstration say dance for ni shareholdings nim amanse for ni shareholdings nim baby e to gold ni nyina ne ade obi animu a ebe yaka oil crowd ye any how a legal regime no about oil and gas e was say asesa no Nigeria for mfa so omunye say yeso Ghana ye benye bi wo because we can't continue going around that la sulala ne ye koye ne abobesia sa de bia ne ye abobesia edigu ye mane ye nananom esonti e Japan dru wa ye be san ba biem
Afia wanya de Japan ba ye no kra na waka ne ye ntumi enkoso mbobosia nya nyoma ye no saa e Japan wa sisi a menim sa attorney general no o ye hu adwuma pa president ahye no o ye adwuma ni wi a president be kire anamontu a o pese parliament eboa no na otu yanto ye boa ase bi kura no president anya hwehwemu wie no o se Japan no kura no ye bijai ana se ye hwehwemu no o se bi mineral royalties ni ye be koso aye ne tete dia ye pese ye no nemom Japan model ni sa company ni ade no kura no ye bijem ntine de mesre eni se ye nya abotre president no or the bar me president kasa o kan de metira se ne se minerals royalties are front loading the usage, you know. About parliament bill na ya hwese ne ye koye nim ne betu ho anamo sa na meti ase nti to bo ase president de bad ye tie mu bia no ye nyina ye behu na ye di ho abobo
yo yora koku ate na wase biom yora koku kwate machebe dwani wo boase for de she no na wo Ministry of Finance wo no ma se omuguso a omo nhihye wo ministry ho no mo na ye budget ye ho adwuma e na ocheche mu issues abam no patron penifobia ye be ye reaction bi to eno asa na ye da ba ye minister na ye pon asa na ye nya minister e de wo mo se yora bemboache any comment?
Yes, I think that there were some few issues that were raised, particularly on the
energy sector level. No?
Yes, and even on the hub concept. I want to say, I think these are some of the problems we have. We get so idealistic about the ACO baby. But authorities be brave. I think we have to sit down and assess how much we have put into these authorities and what they are generating for us. And number one, they are kind about the hub ayatia. And also you behind na am omo afanko for betinam aye adwuma ebimu aye dada. And opesa woje private investment into the petroleum sector. You didn't even talk to the private sector before you did the policy. And you know, when now would 60 billion out there shed loan muno okwakonya free no. The private sector is frustrated about some of the bureaucracies that even a space anymore and more mukura nya omo home pomfa nya adwuma. Ye nim wa license no din se obenya. And these are some bottlenecks you have to deal with before you even think about idealistic way of addressing some of the development challenges I have. We share hub now pesa we ye pesa petroleum products in ye fa Ghana as a Burkina Togo Benin. You will see Ghana as a market at which me have or downstream products and then some of the refinery activities near share Ghana already hano there were a lot of tanks crowd Ghana ha so per se your store product a bit me and they are started but we are not even competitive. We are not optimizing the existing infrastructure now. I was a see a bit me I started that hub concept now private sector fees and me started free hokra and and so no yeah they are share to say bit me investment as I be building more tanks, build refineries. And we are not dealing with even the ones that you cry the refinery that hey, I can't go on able. You need strategy be able to revamp it. And so yeah, it means some private man will come and put his money here. So these are some of the problems we have to deal with. Being less idealistic and facing the reality.
The reality.
I mean, Dr. Said talked about optimizing the mineral sector, and that we can agree. Said, oh, taxing, you need efficiency in your tax administration. GRA has to be effective to be able to examine the cost of the mining companies to be able to tax efficiently. Won't mean your point about Japan, I think we need to have a day to come and explain how terrible that kind of arrangement is, so that Ghanaians can be clear in their minds that optimization is not on skakakrana wenyano and I also we yet they call invest and as some deal with it, but how do you benefit from the extraction of the resource itself? And no any idea or say any ACISO so there be mfuturo no eso bete
Japan dey me pese e be san back pa me papa fi first baby e too gold pa nti na my very passionate say Japan we say back in the same shape and form.
You will have to have the conversation before it even comes back to educate people and explain.
Because minister designates
within the context of the law, agreement na that one. You share agreement say how does it benefit Ghanaians?
Okay.
Now who say we are really going to look for benefit for Ghanaian and I say and simply church the movie amount for NTS.
Okay.
I think that is even important before government finishes. You know, say the speed now on the corner. A do parliament be who na e kwada.
Council, any reactions?
My only you say yen participation na yen Ghana fund memo for no yin participate in the upstream oil and gas industry. Honi here me pa. Na fe so e ba se chechire mu sa ada Japan ana Esla ana the needs say nyina aja to say the needs taxation no bebaso to generate revenue. Nti eba sa me enfa nyama no sam say wo ba no ka so won see no we find ourselves where we are say maybe edu no we have to bite a bitter pill near revenue near awie no how we dispense no say we be kwa no ye nya ni ndi akire because ye no ye so much interested say ye ti brofa kese no na say no but wo ka say 5 years ye bitua we awie e wo say ti bitua awie na afi ye ho ahwayen na etimi ye boy bra.
Doc, any final comment to the minister Kai?
Yeah, let me talk about Kasanfa macroeconomic macroeconomic stability now. What can one say? About 2017 and 2018 beginning no but frame interview me maya na me presi government of it's say mobile the economy was very unstable. The inflation ni bibia cost to say the mo kan na ni tino gina exchange rate and an equity confusion in tebra mobile kwana na me ankasa me bi say na kwa be no be fa so aye no hwa no mo introduce a kind of borrowing ade no your domestic borrowing but foreigners bit me ababeto bonds no and na a domestic bond but foreigners bit me beba and no mutimi enya a lot of foreign exchange it destabilize the city. Now, what stabilizes city this way, it will impact on inflation because of what we call imported inflation. Now, such strategy we know, na and say short-term strategy. You have what Buama foreign exchange na flow what media stabilize. Now, kawa show us and the yen so there bit me ayeno. Nemum, o ma pursue strategy through a term or more. Ain't stability it is at the expense say over borrowing. Yakobo Bosia, the Begu Bank of Ghana, as shore up foreign reserves and they stabilize the city. Into a home susan a way anymore.
Okay.
Okay. Say, and your gin some more, since baby a debt in a drone. Say, see this status a bit unstable. Bema, we interest payment as a cost because your actual money no not exchange rate defense so as a packet.
Okay. Doctor,
I mean, sense what must it so on someone. Also, keep on borrowing. That should be an message. Into strategy of person for 4 years. No, there's appearance of stability, but the shock is awaiting the country.
Shock, no, I'm quite so. I was afraid the best and say, no, I'm a dog. I cannot say where they are stability, asset a year. Then so you're quite anymore. I feel like Popo Bribri Nakasa. And I'm going to have a betting. As like I said, come this way chocolate during the special ice men of water, madam, and I did critical issues. As like I said, some come lawyer, I'm more board with private legal practitioner, such as law faculty. So, Dr. Said Boachi, a senior research fellow, Institute for Fiscal Studies. Ebetche economy no ase eye. So, Yera Benjamin Boachi, Executive Director, Africa Center for Energy Policy. And so, Becheche and Kuntane taxes now. About petrol no so free na kokko fuel station bia so koto fuel na se atumu a enye fuel pump fuel no enye omo fault a tax na ɛna me no mienu nyina yɛtua na seda kɛse nkɔma yɛwura kokuku aten Dr. Domfe Dr. Edusa akɔdeɛ ɔmo nyina boa ɛbɛ join ni discussion ne man nkɔmɔ no ayɛ dɛ Nyankopɔn hyɛw so wa join from anopa no wɔtwe saa nyɛ easy saa wobɛtena fa akɔsa monitor yɛ saa Nyankopɔn hyɛw nhyira no nkɔma yɛ mpanifo yɛ ɔmadama yɛde dwumadi ba production team ni nya camera ne director photography producer cameraman ne sound for ne MC ne ade nya Nyankopɔn hyɛw mo bebre Nyankopɔn yɛ adma next week yɛbɛso aso yɛfrɛ me Vim Lady Afia Pokua